5.
Good evening, Quack and Smite League. We got a good one for you tonight, a week 4 matchup. The Kings Dukes versus the Reapers. I'm your main man, Bonsai Joe, as well as Red Sniper 23 here on the desk. Got Rectal on the camera tonight, so we got a fantastic cast and crew here for a fantastic set. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good here, not gonna lie, as we do get these first bands coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah, not too bad myself.
Uh-oh.
Game one, I'm excited to see what comes out of this. First bands here, Gilgamesh and Soul, some pretty strong gods right now. I mean, Goga's been strong since release, and Soul, up and I mean, I want to say up and coming. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Her relevance in the meta, as we see a Loki ban, as well as a Morgan Le Fay. So another uh, another pretty standard ban out of that. But what do you guys make of this Loki ban?
Well, I mean, the Loki band, they really just want to make sure that, Loki is kind of strong right now in competitive Smite. He has the blind, which is just flat out annoying in any team fight possible. He can come out of nowhere with the invisibility, which is always a pain in the butt. And then he has an ultimate, which allows him to essentially have a double blink as long as you are within range. So his kit is useful for single target damage. Um, and if you have a comp that allows him, and especially if you have a player that's very good at it, it allows him to be more of a nuisance and allows your team to turn fights from 5v5 to a 5v4 or 5v3 very quickly.
Now, speaking of, I mean, I talked a lot about Soul and how that's a god that kind of came out of the woodworks to be relevant again. You want to talk about this Odin pickup, a really strong god in the meta right now. I mean, something that I've seen a lot in my casual games. What's the key to this Odin pick out of the side of the Reapers here?
Um, Odin's very strong right now. His 3 is knock-up immune, which helps him immensely against many of the gods in the solo lane.
Beneath the
Um,
waves.
but it's not going to mean a lot when it comes to the Raijin already being picked up. Um, we'll see what's going to happen and how the side of the King's Court Dukes are going to be able to counter with the Odin. They don't seem to be too worried about it as the Emoja is locked in, not going to be able to escape. However, it doesn't really matter if you can escape or if you can get that ult off, and maybe then they can't escape. So we'll see how the team fights are going to turn on this one. Um, but interestingly enough, Odin being first picked, I think that's probably the bigger story in this one. Especially when you have so many viable hunters that could be picked up, or even mid laners that could be picked up. The Giannis is still available, which has that great mobility and that team fighting mobility with the through space and time. But it looks like Cerberus is going to be picked up. And now on top of it, it's going to be the Osiris pick. So interestingly enough, it's the support, the solo, and it looks like maybe a jungler going to be picked up already for the Reapers. We did see the Osiris 3 games out of 3 last night in the Phenoms versus Phantoms game. And then the response with the Fenrir. So again, 2 of the gods can get out of the Odin cage already. Fenrir, very strong for his ability to bite, clamp on, and throw him back into your team. I don't know, just from the 3 picks and maybe a couple of the bands coming out, who do you like so far?
I don't know. You look at one side and damn, that's a tanky lineup, right? You got some gods that have been pretty powerful now. I mean, we talked a lot about that Odin, a lot about this Osiris and their relevance at the moment. But on the other side, you got more big damage out of the Raijin, as well as a Yamoja for that sustain, and a Fenrir out of the jungle who can really kind of lock people down, as you were saying with that Ragnarok. So I mean, on both sides, looking like versatile lineup, but as of right now, I really like the way that the Reapers have drafted here, really going all in on this tanky kind of meta and leaving their big damagers to the last two and leaving a ton of options open in a meta where it's really hard to ban out those two roles.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at it all together, and that's going to be saw it last night. We saw it actually to great effect last
It is
night too. It's
time
the
for some
Baba Yaga getting
fireworks!
picked up with the response of the Sun Wukong. So that Wukong cudgel, um, always the talk of the town, getting, stealing objectives, clearing lane quickly, just being a general nuisance to the opposing team. And here comes the attack speed stim Rama, especially with the bow build now becoming more meta. We see the gods such as Artemis, who is banned out, but you see Rama coming back into the meta. Even sometimes last night, I believe we even saw Jablanque. So
Yeah, I
starting to see
mean,
a little bit more variation in these picks.
yeah, I mean, all these attack speed stims, whatever is possible to make that silver branch bow do as much as it can is so key out of this hunter role right now. I mean, we've even been seeing Izanami be picked up in competitive play, and you know how rare that is. So we are definitely seeing a change in the meta, especially from those real big ability based gods. But there's the on
Warriors,
her
to
back
battle!
into
Mhm.
a god that's meta no matter what. That is a skill god there with that on her. But uh you know the attack speed stims are what's strong right now, and Rama is fitting right into that no matter what. So there you have it. That is the lineup uh for this game one, Reapers versus Kings Dukes. We got some good action ahead of us. And I mean, with this full draft, Red, walk me through how you liked those last two picks on each side.
Yeah. Well, first things first. You got about a minute left. There's a prediction going on right now. So throw down your points. Who do you think's going to win game number one? Is it going to be the Reapers or the Dukes? Now that we have the team lineups here, um, if I'm looking purely based upon what each team is looking at doing, I really kind of like the Dukes a little bit more, purely for the fact that all of the team fighting, stomping, funneling, all kind of comes down to that Odin and to the Cerberus. But if you need to get away, the the ult of the the ult of the Wukong, the Raijin has a teleport. The Fenrir can leap out. The Anhur can leap out. It really it because the Odin was picked so early, it allows almost every other god to have an escape from him. Um, and so when you're trying to get the team fight now, yes, you have a very, very good tanky front line, but that means you have put so much onto T. Clark and to Bigfoot to get that follow up damage. And if they don't have it, those team fights can go pretty poorly pretty quickly. Now, on the other side of the build, I mean, Fenrir can go hybrid. He has, he can go to the tanky build. Um, but it looks like something wasn't quite right with the setup, so we're gonna reform this one. Um, but looking on the other side of things, the front to back is a little bit more easy to see, and then you have the dive potential on top of it. So we'll see what happens, what the Dukes are going to be able to do with this lineup. But I kind of like it a little bit more than what the Reapers have in just on picks and bans, just on picks and bans.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. We noted that we saw the Baba Yaga get played recently. I mean, that's big damage, but they got a hit. I mean, if this Baba Yaga is not up to speed, if this Baba Yaga is not really putting out the numbers as the Reapers need her to, then I don't think that there's a whole lot of other places for big burst damage to come out, especially when most of your damage is relying, especially on the Osiris and Rama, who two physical gods who like try to do that burst damage, right? The big chase down, the dive from the Osiris. It's gonna be really really interesting to see what the follow up is.
Well, and again, you have a Rama and a Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is going to have to be utilized for burst damage. Rama is not that style of god, even with the bow build. He does not have that bursty capability. Yes, he has great attack speed, but you need him to get into the fight and have that sustained pressure in order for him to continually do damage. Um, I mean, his ult, granted, the snipes are absolutely wonderful to just reach out and touch someone. But if you don't have that capability right now, right here, you've got to get close enough that you can just do sustained damage and chip away little by little. Osiris is going to be in the midst of things. You know that's going to happen. Odin could either bird bomb or he's going to be able to front line. Cerberus is going to be much more comfortable trying to CC and get that frontline capabilities going. But you really have to look at all the pieces here and go, can you set up a full CC chain? Is it going to rely a lot on skill shots? Odin's definitely will. Osiris just needs to be close with that tether. Rama really doesn't have much of a CC. Cerberus, it's kind of a skill shot out in front of him, but it has to be close enough again. It's kind of tough when you're going to say, can you just lock down one person and make them pay for being, away from their team? Whereas on the other side, I mean, there's a lot of CC. You have the Anhur that can get the impale. You have a Wukong that can use the tiger form that can just stun you right away. Um, you have a Raijin that can use that taunt on his ultimate. You have Fenrir that can brutalize and stick to you. You have his ultimate that can pick you up and throw you back into the midst of a team fight when you're about to die. There is so much CC on that side of the Dukes. It just gives you more tools to be able to chain things and chain damage together, especially when you're looking at an Anhur and a Raijin.
100% agree. As we look into getting this game remade, apologies for the wait, but we're doing our best as we get into this one. Still not 100% sure what the issue was with the lineup, but nevertheless, we are just about ready to go here.
It was the Wukong skin. There was a Sun Wukong skin that was used that was banned.
Banned skin.
Yep,
Oh, it was probably Dark Lord.
Yep, yeah, it was. They were reforming. So
don't usually see a whole lot of complaints about skins, but the Sun Wukong ones, those are the big no-nos. So as we get into it, now we get to talk about these builds once they begin to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we got a little bit of a sneak peek in the first little portion of a game. But right off the bat, we're going to go ahead and see these ADCs pick up that cowl as well as what should be the first bow, as it does. And something interesting I'm seeing here is the mask out of Odin. That big damage in like while paying with a little bit of your life. What do you make off of this big bursty Odin that's going to be coming out of this solo lane?
So the Odin in the solo lane is looking to fight. Now, the fighters match is going to be absolutely wonderful for him to get in there, steal the damage, steal the protections, be able to box. The problem is you're going up against a Sun Wukong with Bluestone now. that is probably one of the worst things to go into if you're just looking to fight right now, because he is going to slap you, he is going to smack you, he is going to use absolutely everything possible in his kit to just be an absolute monster in lane. We'll see. You can play Odin a little bit more passively and maybe get away with it, but if he's going to be aggressive, he's got to be so aggressive that he doesn't have to worry about what his health is going to have to do. He's got to be able to get in there and just fight and fight and fight. We'll see if Sun Wukong is going to let him, especially with that 72 transformations.
So as these waves clash here, I mean, already looking off in that jungle, it seems like Cruz is a little low, and Gingy paying off on that fighter's mask early. 50 seconds into this first game, and Gingy collects first blood in the solo lane. I mean, we were just talking about it, weren't we? I mean, there's that fighter's mask putting in work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's worth noting that he also, I think he immediately went back and picked up an axe as well. So he's already grabbed that starter item. So a huge lead already into the 1.5 minute mark, as Gingy will be returning to this solo lane on the right side for the Reapers.
Yeah, so he now has the advantage of actually having a blue buff on him. But then he also has the advantage of now having the double ability to just stun and shred every time he takes a fight. So we'll see if Sun Wukong is going to be able to deal with that. And it looks like it's not going to happen, as Raven Strider gets very, very low again. Just barely surviving there. Gingy does take a fair amount of damage, however. But again, that was a lot of damage in a little bit of time.
Look out, duo lane. Here's a Fenrir. Cruz coming on to the back here as they try to get the Harpy. A huge dash in on her, and Cruz is going to pick up that kill in the duo lane. Clay City just bouncing around the Cerberus over there in that duo lane as Inori tries to do a little bit of a gank onto Raven Strider, but will come out with nothing but pressure out of that solo lane. So a really good rotation over into duo by Cruz to kind of make up for the early down payment that they put onto the solo lane. And now we're back even at 1.
And it looks like they are not going to let Raven Strider actually have any blue buff, as they are going to go for the blue invade already. And again, it's going to be down to the jungler to try and help secure that. But right now, the Fenrir coming over, getting pressure, helping to get that kill over in duo lane. But that means they're trading solo lane pressure for duo lane pressure. So we got to keep our eyes on this Umoja and on her. They are going to be sort of shouldering the burden in this early game.
So now mid lane is the one with so little action so far in this game, as there's been a little bit of an invade on both sides. It's worth noting that the duo lane is pushing through, and a huge portal by Umoja will pull T Clark back to give Clay City his first kill of this game, and Gingy is going to pay it for it on the other side of the map, taking down Raven Strider for the second time.
So again, Gingy just getting the better of Raven Strider in that solo lane. And here we are. We'll see. It really is now a true balancing act. You have solo lane going squarely in one direction. You have duo lane going squarely in the other direction. That means mid lane is going to be your tipping point. Mid lane and jungle, how they are going to be able to utilize their pressure effectively, is really going to be the tale of how this game is going to go.
So, out of this duo lane, a little bit more pressure out of the Reaper's side as they try to mount back what they've lost so far in the early game. T Clark hitting level 5, upgrading that Astral Barrage. So, last ult left to be earned is Cerberus's. Over on this right side, Raven Strider looking low yet again. There's the Somersault Cloud to save his life as Inori was coming in, but that is no ult for Raven Strider. Now, Bigfoot out of that mid lane, using the Baba Yaga dash to clear out the rest of that wave. There is the Cage of Spears, and that is gonna be one dead Raven Strider and Nori sitting around that solo lane, not allowing any pressure from the Sun Wukong, and Jinji is going to help him pick up his first kill on the right side as the Taiko drums comes out from Raijin out of this mid lane. Yamoja's there to help, and Bigfoot's going to be able to stay alive in the wake of that ultimate ability from Frag Fiesta. There's a little bit of that action in mid lane as the push up comes from Otten in Frag.
I mean, that Odin Cage from Jinji was a very nice ult. It was a very nice ult.
The big lockdown, I mean, they knew that Raven Strider was without the Somersault Cloud, so, you know, one way to really lock someone down is to put a ring of spears around them as soon as that happens. Once again, solo lane looking a little tough, although Crude's looking over at this point, but Jinji's going to go ahead and back off. No damage is going to be found there on the right side from the side of the King's Dukes.
Yeah, supports have now rotated towards the mid lane, and it looks like Reapers will be able to pick up the first of the Scorpions, as Gold Scorp will go over to the side of the Reapers. So a little bit of pressure, and again, little bit of damage. Calais actually ends up coming out the loser in that trade. But something I wanted to point out real quick in the mid lane, Frag Fiesta there, Sandman Sam, picking up the Pythags piece after the Vamp Shroud. It's something that we have now seen twice. We saw it last night, now we're seeing it tonight. And it's something I don't quite understand. Maybe it's something in a new meta that I haven't seen yet. But interesting that it wouldn't be like a Karen's coin or even something like a Tython's or something like that. But maybe just looking for something that the Pythags piece brings to the table that the others don't.
Jinji continuing to bring that aggression out of that solo lane. I mean, just two quick abilities already pulling Raven Strider down about a third of his health. As Inori looks toward this right side, might be looking for a potential buff. If they can get the Somersault Cloud out of Raven Strider, they're not going to be able to get it, as there's the 72 transformations to just go ahead and get out of that fight and back to the base. So Raven Strider is going to once again get poked out, but the big damage over on the other side of the map as Clay City pulls up, and Yamoja is there. There's the oh, and here comes the Astral Barrage from T-Clark to try to stay alive after the Desert Fury happened, but it's not going to be enough. Clay City is going to pick up his second kill out of that duo lane.
And the Fenrir was there too, so even if the duo lane does not get the straight out kill, that Fenrir could have jumped in over the wall as he was securing purple. And oh man, that was absolutely devastating. A perfect rotation by the King's Dukes. Allows for the pressure, gets the kill, and again, that pressure in the duo lane squarely in favor of the King's Dukes. It's the opposite on the solo side. So again, we're looking to see these jungles become much more of a battleground as this game progresses.
And I mean, I cannot stress enough how well Ott has been on these Riptides out of the duo lane. There comes the Ring of Spears, though. Huge rotation, 4 players over onto the right side of the map to try to pick off Jinji. But look out, he's still at half health after using that ultimate. No way could any of the King's Dukes get out of there after using their movement abilities to jump onto him. What an incredible rotation that didn't really amount to much of anything.
And that was one of the...
Look out over on the left side. There's a Nori with the big dash in, and he's still going to pick up that kill after using his ultimate to chase down Clay City on the Honor.
He also got the beads on the Honor, so that is going to be another big cooldown.
Oh, there's Ragnarok, though, to go ahead and grab the Cerberus. There's the Vestigial Torment, but will it be enough to pull them in? It will not. Bud is going to go down. T-Clark, though, picking up a return kill onto Crudes, but Frag Fiesta picks up Inori in the backside. Bigfoot, though, picking up Ott. So big trades here, 2 for 2 so far. Astral Barrage coming down off the Rama, not really able to find anything as the action had cleaned up by then. We saw a lot of ultimates come out, big damage from Bigfoot, especially on on the home sweet home there. And wow, lots of action in not a lot of time. What seemed to be, two lockdown ultimates from each of the supports just kind of ran into each other, basically.
Yeah, that as Raven Strider takes another shot of half health. Gingy is using that bird bomb to great effect. It's something that, at least in the mid to lower elo, you don't see it as much. Um, Most of the Odin players like to use their 3, but we're seeing Gingy use that good old-fashioned bird bomb to just absolutely obliterate the health bar of Raven Strider. And it's getting him in some pretty tight spaces. But looking around the map right now, you see the ward placement very good by both sides, trying to cover the defensive axes. Another invade here. Doesn't quite get the timing right. Now Inori's going to be there, just missing out on the gank. He is going to miss that ability onto the Fenrir. But now you got 3 over here by Gold Fury, and they're not going to quite start it up just yet, as T. Clark's still over there, and the dance of the wards being played over here in the left side of the jungle.
On the right side, though, 4 members of the Reapers are going to go ahead and claim that Pyromancer off of the rotation. King's Dukes just did not pick up on the desertedness of that left jungle, as T. Clark was the only one over there. But look out, here is some damage, and here is a rotation. They're going to try to get over to that Rama before the rest of the Reapers can make it back, but they will not be in time. Over in that duo lane, though, Umoja really pushing up. The River's Rebuke comes out, but it doesn't hit much of anything there. So the ultimate from Audg is going to be down for right now, but with the lack of aggression here, I think it won't really matter in any upcoming fights. That being said, though, a little bit of a rotation here over around this Gold Fury. 3 members of the Reapers are there, and it's just Ott from the King's Dukes. Look out, there's the Riptide. The Vestigial Tournament comes out, but it will not connect, as Ott is just going to make it out of that fight alive just after using her beads. But there's the Taiko drums coming out from Frag Fiesta. Will do a lot of damage, but won't pick up a finish. Left side fight. Ooh, sorry, I must have cut out there, but Frag Fiesta still looking to do some damage as he needs to get out of that one. The full rotation has been made. All of the Reapers are here. This is a winning fight for the side of the order, but as the Astral Barrage comes down, Raven Strider trying to do any kind of damage that he can, but all of the side of the King's Dukes are just going to have to back off in this moment. Just the pressure is too strong from the side of the Reapers, but now the ultimates are down. The only ones left are Clays and Bigfoots. So, this could be a winning fight if the rest of the kits say so. But it looks like Inori's going to back off. If the King's Dukes recognize this could be a turned fight. Reapers are going to have to play this one a little bit safer now. Unless it's not really picked up on. Guess not. They're going to go ahead and return to the lanes. What looked to be a lot of action turned out to be a whole lot of nothing, as it was mainly just little pushing and shoving around that Gold Fury pit.
And it looks like Gold Fury is going to be the next target on the block. It was started up and dropped by the Rama as Audg comes over, and now the Emoji in trouble. There's the Ring of Spears by the Odin, and it doesn't matter what portal you've got, Yamoja, you can't get out. And Gingy will pick up that kill, but here we go, Taiko drums coming out again. That will finally pick up Bigfoot. Goodbye to the Baba Yaga. And here we go, now the turn and the burn as the Cerberus gonna try and get something there. The spear over by the Odin will get the stun. That's the 3v3 over in the left-hand jungle. But Clay City doing a lot of damage on that on her. He's gonna follow that jump with the impale. Here comes the Desert Fury, and some good damage onto Gingy, and Gingy's just gonna have to walk away. Just not enough for Clay City to get out of it. But Clay is going to be in a little bit of problem. He's going to have to burn the Aegis. Here comes Cerberus one more time. And now the snipes as T. Clark will pick it up. And Inori going to get Crudes on the backside. So that ultimately is a 2-for-1, a huge extended team fight. Bigfoot did fall in that one. But now we're there. Here they go again. And we are back into the Fiesta territory. But not quite an arena game, but still absolutely an excellent team fight by both sides. Just making sure they don't overstay their welcome.
I mean, that's just an unfortunate fight for the Kings Dukes. I mean, you know, as you said, extended team fight really started off with the big ring of spears from Gingy catching Aji off guard, and then in turns, Crudes and Clay City both go down in trade for just Bigfoot. So, I mean, it did end up being a 3-for-1 at the end of the day, but I mean, it lasted so long that Aji had respawned by the time that the fight had ended. So, a 3-for-1 on the side of Reapers that will allow them to get a little bit of pressure, but not really take a Gold Fury here. So not a whole lot is gotten off of that. You know, if you're the Reapers, I think you definitely want to try to look to get a little bit more of an advantage off of it. But that being said, you know, the extendedness of that team fight really kind of brought things back for the Kings Dukes.
We were talking about pressure earlier in the game, that there was a clear advantage in the solo lane for the Reapers and a clear advantage in the duo lane for the Kings Dukes. As here we go again, Tycho Drum's going to utilize ult for ult, and here comes River's Rebuke. And that is going to be 2 ults for 1. And that Cerberus is going to be a bad boy. Goodbye to the puppy. As Inori going to try and get the follow-up, that's going to be the stun onto Yamoja. As Inori just continuing to deal the damage, the slice, the dice, the dance, but no kills just yet. But there's the blink, and now the stun. Yamoja going to get the peel. Crudes is going to pick up Inori, and the Bigfoot is going to pick up G for the return. That's a lot of damage from the Odin. Goodbye to Frag Fiesta, and see you later. Clay City's got to get out of dodge. He'll drop the obelisk to help self-peel. But now Raven Strider's over here, and now it's still a 2v1 as Bigfoot doesn't want to get turned on. But Clay City falls so low on that on her. And Gingy's just going to have to back away. As again, an extended, broken team fight ends up slightly in the Reaper's advantage.
You know, one thing I thought about that team fight, I mean, you know, it looked kind of in the side of Kings Dukes. I mean, and Nori kind of overextended, went down early, and then, you know, they had a little bit of an overextension just generally onto G, who was almost able to stay alive, but a really good turn and burn by Gingy and Bigfoot to not only get in there and do tons of damage, they found the kills, they stayed alive, and now they're out getting this pressure on the Gold Fury.
Yeah, and that Gold Fury is going to burn very, very quickly as the Reapers will pick that one up. Something I was going to mention before the team fight broke out is early on in the game we said there's a clear advantage in solo for Reapers, there's a clear advantage in duo for Kings Dukes. That has completely evened out. Now T. Clark up just about a level and a little bit over the on her of Clay City, and you see dead even in the solo lane, despite the 4-0-2 on Odin and the 0-3-0 of the Sun Wukong. Still the same level, still dealing damage in fights, but the Kings Dukes will take the Pyromancer, and Inori will fall as the Taiko drums come out, and that will spell the death of Gingy as Frag Fiesta will pick up the double kill and the first kill onto the Odin.
Gingy and Inori really went for that Pyromancer. They were over there doing it themselves, just trying to, you know, take it with 2 people, and out of nowhere, 3 members of the Kings Dukes steal the objective and turn it the other way. A really good job by that grouping on the right side to recognize where their advantage was and really turn it the other way. What an incredible turnaround fight for the Kings Dukes. That's a great advantage going forward.
Absolutely. It brings things so much closer too, because those two were really the 2 big nuisances on the map. It didn't matter what the team fight was. If T. Clark was there, or if Bud or Bigfoot was there, it didn't quite matter so much, as Bud will pick up Clay City through the wall!
That was clean.
What a beautiful snipe.
Wow,
Beautiful
the through the wall, no look for Rooney to pick up the kill. what was an incredible 1v1 over a duo lane between Clark and Clay ended in a health stalemate. The one that was there to pick up that kill was Bud.
And again, it's that little advantage of, okay, fine, 1v1, we may be even, we may be boxing, but as soon as that second person comes in, now you've got a whole new set of abilities to worry about, a whole new health bar to worry about, and that was just the perfect timing by Bud to get in there and to make sure that, you know what, I'm gonna help out my Rama to get even that much better, that much further into the game. As we're starting to near the end game already, we see 5 items on most of the, sorry, 4 items in a starter on most players already for the side of the Reapers. And the 20s are coming up close, but it looks like maybe the first person to reach 20 might be the Raijin.
We talked a lot about the attack stims ADCs going more that bow build to try to utilize Silver Branch, but looking at this build, we actually see the on her going into an early Aussie mixed with what looks to be a what I'm assuming is going to be a Kittens because of all of this health and tankiness off the side of the Reapers. It's going to be interesting to see as blip from a Nori comes out, and there is the afterlife. Osiris himself with the big jumps, the big chase, and now he's in a vulnerable position with the Fenrir and the on her there. So he's a little off. But look over on the right side, there's a big fight going on as abilities are getting expended. Oh, wow. Huge damage coming out, and Gingy's going to go down to the Taiko drums. There's the Vestigian Torment from Bud trying to utilize as much as he can to keep them in it. But Frag Fiesta is going to pick up that kill as well. Huge damage coming out of this mid laner from the King's Dukes. It's absolutely incredible what this Raijin has been able to do in that last fight. I mean, we saw on the left side of the map, Clay City using his ability to make them chase to get Inori to come over, and then once they knew the jungler was out of the fight, Cruz and Clay just kind of walked over and took the other side. I mean, what looked to be the numbers advantage in the side of the Reapers, it was a 5v4 with the 3 players on the left side uh, kind of duking it out. It looked like the Reapers had the advantage, but the big turn and burn from the Fenrir and the on her over onto that fight was able to clean some things up. As I mean, Frag focused down Odin, and then he focused down the Cerberus, and anyone who was diving onto that backline of the King's Dukes was just getting absolutely obliterated. Just could not find the target that they wanted.
Yeah, we are paused right now. Bigfoot is DC'd as it stands. So hopefully we'll get him back in. We'll get this game going. Uh, but yeah, that is a good question. I didn't even realize that. Seems to be there. Seems to be maybe Inori is not using a proper skin, but we'll get to the bottom of this real quick. Try and figure that out. It doesn't seem to be a problem as it stands. And who knows? We'll see if the King's Dukes are really, yeah. It doesn't appear to be a problem. So um, we'll see what goes on here. But I'll definitely keep an eye out on that. Thanks, Drew and Omar, for bringing that to our attention. So as we are, and I did this to Skeet last night. I'm going to do it to you now tonight, Joe. But so we're 22 minutes in. The Fire Giant looking to be focused down by the King's Dukes now. If you are the Reapers, you've got 2 men down. You just took the blue buff. What's your next move to try and either mitigate what the King's Dukes are going to do, or to try and gain some sort of an advantage now, to either get them into a bad team fight or try and take an objective off the board? What's your next play as the Reapers?
You gotta group up. I mean, what we just saw out of the side of the Reapers was you saw Gingy dive in and get just bursted down. And then 30 seconds later, you see Bud dive in and then just get bursted down. These are 5v1 fights essentially from the side of the Reaper. You need to have them just get a little bit more togetherness and really just kind of pull the team together as a 5-man. And I think once they do that, I mean, they have the ability, they have the huge lead out of the solo lane, as well as a uh,
Looks like we lost Joe there for a
game
second.
is
Again,
now
there we go. Okay,
above.
he's
Oh,
back.
apologize. I don't know how much you missed there. I don't know how long.
We lost about everything now. But don't worry, he'll be back. As again, we're still looking, we're still waiting for Bigfoot. Looks like he has reconnected now.
Want to give a
So
big shout out to Comcast for sucking. Anyways,
Comcast our sponsor for tonight.
I do have to laugh because you're talking about Comcast for sucking, and yet I also have Comcast. So it sucks for you apparently.
I, I don't know. I usually don't have too much of a problem with it. That being said, back to the fight here. And Nori with the big dive in. Just as I was saying, it's a 5v1 fight, and Nori falls. T Clark is going to pick up a return kill on the back. Crudes tried to dive a little bit too much, but I mean, just as I was saying, as I was cutting out, it seems like almost 5v1 fights is, Gingy dove in to try to look for something. Then after Gingy was dead, Bud dove in, and then after Bud was dead, there was a pause, and then Inori saw what his two teammates did and then decided to do the exact same thing to nothing but the same result.
Yeah, and it honestly, to be quite frank, T Clark there saves the fire giant. He really does. If he doesn't get that pick off onto Crudes, they kill Inori, turn right back around, finish off the fire giant, and now they're pushing right down the throat of the Reapers. It still looks like they're going to get Oni Fury at this point, which, granted, still a good objective, a great pressure pushing in every single lane. It's going to keep the Reapers on the back foot, but it's not a fire giant buff that they're going to really have to worry about.
So now we're looking to gear up the fight over on this right side near that fire giant. What looked to be a little bit of a Reaper's advantage early in this game has now evened itself out. King's Dukes have made what you could call a comeback. It wasn't a huge lead that the Reapers had, but that being said, we are back to even up, only a 300 gold advantage at this point. That looks like it might be decimated by this Pyromancer. King's Dukes are going to go ahead and take that one back on their side. Yeah, look at that golden XP difference. A big turnaround around that 19 or so minute mark for the King's Dukes. A couple good team fights, a couple of togetherness plays have really brought this game back to, what was a 3k gold difference back down to gold in their favor.
And again, you said it earlier, what we're looking at right now, I mean, there were two members of the Reapers around. It was a 5v2 essentially. Now the King's Dukes have grouped up. They have started that snowball. Here comes Inori from the side, and again, is it going to be a 5-on-1? Looks like Inori decides to back off at this time, but again, the objective is the fire giant. Do you do the dance? Do you try and get something at this point? As, uh-oh, here we go. The call goes out, and Nori in trouble, and now he is going to have to run for the hills, but as he gets away, the peel comes through, and now ultimates are being dropped. The team fight comes through. Tycho drums, and the River's Rebuke going to be dropped as well. That's 2 for 2 in the ultimate count, and now Fire Giant going to be started up by the King's Dukes.
Oni minions in each lane. The longer this fight goes on, the less that left tower will have on the side of the Reapers, the King's Dukes want to prolong this fight as much as possible because they have the pressure so far, but they need to either turn that pressure into a fire giant or do something here with this team fight, because something is looming and it's going to be happening soon, as there's a huge amount of boxing out being done by Crudes. The damage is coming into the fire giant, but it's not looking like it's going to be enough. They're going to go ahead and drop it and get on a Nori. And Nori's almost taking damage, but is looking like he's gonna survive. Has the Lord of the Afterlife available to jump over that Pyromancer wall, so could take the team by surprise. A big 5-man grouping from the King's Dukes, looking like a together squad. Bud now gets pierced by the Honor, looking low, and there's Home Sweet Home coming in from Bigfoot, doing huge damage, and Nori is gonna pick up Clay City on the back. Honor is gonna fall, as well as Cruz and Aji, and there goes Raven Strider as well. Huge damage coming in, and Frag Fiesta is going to fall too. Unbelievable amount of damage coming in from Bigfoot and T Clark. Just as we said, they would need to step up to the task in the picks and bans, and here they are, looking to take this fire giant by themselves, just the two of them. They are going to be looking a little low after this one, as Bigfoot taking a lot of damage. T Clark's gonna have to roll out of the way of that knock up. Both of them are looking kind of low, gonna have to get out here. There comes the Aegis from T Clark to stay alive in this one. Gonna try to get some of that health back, and he will stay alive. The tanks are there, and they grab that fire giant. No deaths to the FG there, but it was looking quite close as Bigfoot and T Clark masterfully juggle that objective.
They juggle the objective. It does cost T Clark his Aegis, but in the end, you get 4 on the fire giant buff. Only Nori, the one that doesn't have it, which, I mean, he's an Osiris. He's big, he's tanky, he's going to be a pain in the butt anyway, but it's going to be critical for your Rama and your Baba Yaga to have that bonus pen against objectives, and especially coming up, now is the time. You've said it before, it's now even more important. Where do you group up and where do you push? Primal Fury is about to come up. Is that going to be the next call here for the Reapers, or do you see them pushing a tier 2 instead?
I think they definitely group up around this Primal Fury here, and then probably sweep left to right, all 3 tier 2 towers. That might be the game plan here. They want to get the objectives, and then they want to continue to have sustained pressure here in this game. You know, they know they have the lead now after that huge fight that puts them almost 6K up in gold. The biggest lead in this game after such an incredibly turned fight. You know, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint where things went wrong in that one. I mean, King's Dukes looked so together, so really ready for that fight, but you know, one Nori on the back mixed with one Gingy diving in and using the Ring of Spears just really put them down, and you know, they were down and out for the count as the huge damage came in from Baba Yaga, especially in that ultimate, just absolutely placing down nothing but damage fields. So I mean, it was just a mixture of ultimates used really well from the Reapers. It was, you know, a little bit of what I talked about when I was cutting out earlier. They need to group up as a 5-man, and they really looked like they were ready. King's Dukes looked ready for that fight, but they were in an unfortunate position where, you know, they just kind of, I don't want to say forgot about Nori, but he got onto the back line for free. He just walked around. But there's the River's Rebuke coming out of the Vestigial Torment as well, so both supports ultimates are down. Bud looking low, though, is going to have to jump out, trying to get out of there freely, but there's the cage. Ring of Spears from the Odin is not going to claim a kill, but Nori will find it on the back. There goes the Raijin. That's a lot of damage gone on the side of King's Dukes, so the Reapers might be looking to chase here, as Raven Strider looking low as well, but Shinji taking absolute punishment from Clay City. And the Reapers will back off, regroup, and go for this final tier 2 tower. An incredible fight there, you know, that could have gone way worse for the King's Dukes. Ends up being some pretty good defense, and you know, a lasting win that will pretty much end the Fire Giant off that one. So, you know,
Yeah.
you only lose one member of your squad, and then their Fire Giant buff will be done by the next time you have a full team fight.
Yep, and you had that fight in the jungle, away from your T2, away from your Phoenix, so no Phoenixes have been damaged yet. You still have the lane pressure, your minions are still walking out, so it's not like you're so crushed that they can go back, regroup, grab a couple buffs, and come right back into your Phoenixes. They have to start walking those minions right back from square one. So, well done by the King's Dukes taking that fight. Again, it could have gotten a lot better, but it definitely could have gotten a lot worse as well.
Also, fellas, I want to point out a couple things. First up is that Rama just resold an item there, and I believe it was the Ikival, and picked up Azzy in its place. So, both ADC builds becoming very wonky, but I'd also like to point out that the King's Dukes have not yet lost a game. And they're on the ropes here now.
Yeah, King's Dukes looking
Yeah.
looking I don't want to say, I mean, can still come back, but they're on their heels looking to try to keep their record alive here, as the Reapers have the advantage in this one so far. Fragius is going to back off in a little bit of an awkward position. I mean, you noted that it's looking a little awkward, but you know, if you're T Clark, you want to try to stay alive a little bit more. I mean, if you look on the side of King's Dukes, they don't have any anti-heal, so you know, that lifesteal is gonna pay off. You know, the lifesteal that you get from Azzy mixed in with the now Hunter's Cowl, which gets you way more than enough auto attack damage to utilize that Silver Branch bow. But here comes the fight, the boxing out around this Fire Giant that spawned. Frag Fiesta taking an absolute punishment. There comes the dash, and the Raijan's gonna get out of it there, but he's looking low. Gingy diving, using the Ring of Spears. They are focusing down that Raijan. River's Rebuke is gonna crash, but oh wow, Gingy is gonna fall, but T Clark picks up the kill on Crude. So Frag Fiesta still looking to get out, still in a vulnerable position, as there's a Nori on the back line. King of the Afterlife is there, it hits, and now they are looking to pick up on it, but Frag Fiesta is going to turn it around, pick up Bud, but it wasn't enough damage. T Clark is going to finish off Raven Strider. He's looking to do all that damage. That Oppo is proccing again and again. Here's the 1v1, and Nori picks up G though, but here comes T Clark playing aggressively. Doesn't have the Astral Barrage, already used it. Not a single ultimate available in this fight, just a Nori and diving, but it's not going to be enough. But there's Frag Fiesta playing that aggression, picking up the kill on T Clark.
Yeah, he'll get the shutdown, and ultimately it is 3 for 4. Not a bad fight going either way, but still, King's Dukes catching the advantage in that one. And you see Frag Fiesta here leading the way. 34k player damage, not enough tankiness yet to go for Fire Giant until the respawns happen. But man, what a team fight. Great extension there. But again, in Nori going in, trying to turn something good into something great, and gets caught out a little bit. T Clark trying to finish up what his teammate started, and again, was just unable to do so. Man, that is just... It's tough if you're the side of the Reapers, but it was such great turnaround by the King's Dukes.
Now, after Frag Fiesta stayed alive all that time and really showed the Reapers what lifesteal is all about, you would note that that Fighter's Mask is now gone off the Odin, and what's in its place? A Pestilence. Rightfully so, the Reapers have been trying to ward off this Raijin, really focusing Frag Fiesta out of these fights. And, you know, with those damage numbers on the board, how can you blame them? But, you know, now that Pestilence comes out, now they might have a little bit of an easier time. Gingy is really doing whatever he can to get onto that backline.
Yeah, and we'll see where the team fight evolves here again. T. Clark up there in the face of the King's Dukes, 4 men strong, right around that corner. They don't pressure as Gingy now takes his place, trying to just zone out a little bit here. But again, 4 men coming up against an Odin, but it's gonna buy just enough time. Pyromancer will go down, but Fire Giant still on the board, and EFG, a buff that no one can ignore at this point.
And Ori in that mid lane, I mean, the King's Dukes saw him. They're going to go ahead and rotate over toward him. They need to defend that mid lane. Fire minions are going to start pouring in soon if they spend a little too much time around this enhanced Fire Giant. They're looking to dance around it, try to find the ability to find an advantage here. Frag Fiesta chilling around that mid lane. Reapers want to try to take the advantage where they can while the defense is happening. King's Dukes are all grouping up around that back right side, a grouping of 5 here as Inori is going to... You know what? I thought that was going to be a fake back. I thought that was going to be a fake back.
Thought so
But
too.
Inori's going to actually back, most likely to defend this left lane from the Oni waves here as Crudes is looking to dive in. They know that Inori backed right in their faces, so 5v4 fight over in this right side, but if they're not careful, they might lose a Phoenix here. Those fire minions are going to start pouring in, but they're going to go ahead and defend it instead, which is the better call. So side of the King's Dukes backing off of this enhanced Fire Giant. That's going to allow the Reapers to go ahead and take it. They had ward coverage up there, but look out. They're going to really need to have to get back into this one. Crudes is not there. Gingy looking to push out, uses the Ring of Spears to wall them off. It's a little early. That Fire Giant is still pretty healthy. There's the River's Rebuke coming out. The ultimate's dropping. King's Dukes are going to steal the Fire Giant. Wow. And that is the huge play there. Oh, but all these ults are dropping a lot of damage on the back line. Ravenstrider doing everything he can. There's the Somersault Cloud. He's going to stay alive, drop down onto T. Clark, who's looking so low. Where's the follow-up for the rest of the King's Dukes? Here it comes as they look to dive Ravenstrider, but the Reapers are not going to find the kill. King's Dukes are going to stay alive and get out of this fight alive and with a Fire Giant buff.
Wow, EFG going over to the King's Dukes. That one was tough for the Reapers. They were so close. They almost had it just snatched away at the last second. King's Dukes, the Yemoja ult coming in, such a timely ultimate, allowing them to get in, partitioning off the EFG, allowing them to get in, do what they needed to do, grab the buff, and get out of dodge when they needed to. No Inori, again, you know, it was more of a 4v5, 3v5. It was a good ult by Gingy to try and zone out what he could, but just a little early. He wasn't able to hold everybody back long enough for the Reapers to pick up the Gold Fury, and they just needed a little bit more. We'll see what happens when the progression starts to come through. Again, we're still looking at a solid lead for the Reapers in gold, but as everybody nears full builds, we're going to start looking at pots, and we'll see if the pot differential is going to make a difference coming up for the defense by the Reapers.
So here come the King's Dukes down this duo side, looking to group up and take a bird. It's going to be a 5v5 bird fight, but looking like they might back off and grab a Primal Fury instead, trying to take some objectives where they can find it. But actually, I might be a liar here as they look to push. They might have seen a Nori over in that mid lane. The numbers are slightly to their advantage here. If the Osiris is not there, they might be looking to turn, but they might catch him in an awkward spot, and there it is. The big damage coming out by Crudes is going to force Inori to use that ultimate and get out of that fight. So they'll pick up the tier 2 tower here and possibly look for more, as they know that Inori is without an ultimate. Crudes is as well. So both junglers a little lacking now. All relics are up at the moment.
41 minutes into this one, we've seen one Phoenix fall. This one is going to be a debate. Are they going to defend this? Do they have to defend this? As the blink comes in,
Ooh,
the
there's a
Tiger Storm
Tiger
is
Storm.
going to miss. And now, here we go, as the back line is going to be quite heavily involved. Tycho Drum's going to come out. Here comes the damage, as now Cruz is going to have to back away from Inori. The EFG going to keep him alive, but that Phoenix is not going to be kept alive much longer. And bad Bud Ned is going to have to get out of there.
Huge damage coming in. Oh, I apologize there, but wow, the T Clark just getting bursted down there. But Cruz is gonna fall to some more damage. And then over off toward this right side, more damage coming in. Ravenstrider looking low, and Nori's gonna pick up the kill. Lord of the Afterlife just coming off of cooldown, and Aji is gonna fall as well. And Nori picking up a couple kills at the end of this fight, and they're gonna force the King's Dukes to back off just as that Fire Giant buff expires.
And again, Frag Fiesta is trying to run away. He's not quite out of the woods, as Inori's going to follow him all the way up there. Good poke, a little bit of damage. The teleport over the wall as the Thunderclash going to come through. And again, you're going to see two guys just battle it out. Now comes the Tycho Drum, and they're going to trade. And Nori picks up his 10th kills. Sandman Sam and Frag Fiesta going to pick up his 11th. And we just see two bloodthirsty men go right at each other. Speaking of which, there is the pluck by Bloodbud as Clay City gonna get caught up. Gingy gonna drop the wall of spears, and the cage gonna keep Clay in there as the leap already utilized. The Phoenix now the target, but it's not gonna be able to be focused down, as Cruz will finally be able to get to that minion wave and clear some pressure off of his Phoenix. Man, what an extended fight, a push through the jungle, and now the respawn timer's coming through. The Emoja will come in, and now Fire Giant's back on the board.
Great job by Gingy to recognize and wait until Clay was forced to use something there in that fight. But, you know, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here. Clay has beads up. Pretty sure he died with beads. He willingly took the Vestigial Torment from Bud, and in turn, he had to use his jump to get out of it, and then didn't have his jump available for the Ring of Spears. So, in turn, Clay decided not to use the beads and then died for it.
Yeah, and, you know, there's no Spectre picked up at all for the King's Dukes, so they're not going to be able to walk out of any of those walls, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing, because you have 4 members of your team can easily just get out. But if you've used it already, there's no possible way you're going to be able to just, you know, to have it 2 jumps, especially when you're being CC'd like that. Now you see EFG going to be the primary focus, but in the back of the mind, the Reaper's got to worry. That is 2 waves of fire minions coming down the left-hand side, and there's nothing in their path towards the Titan.
Reaper's grouping up as 5 here, but one of them might have to go back kind of soon, as they're looking to get the advantage on this enhanced Fire Giant stolen by the King's Dukes last time. They're going to be very cautious about this one, as it's looking to be a 5v4 grouping. Inori going back to deal with those fire waves, and now look out, huge damage coming onto Ravenstrider. The Somersault Cloud is going to keep him alive. Play City jumping in. There's the Vestigial Torment to keep the people off of the rest of that Reaper's group. Gingy using the wall of spears. Bigfoot's gonna turn that fight. Clay City's gonna go down. Huge damage coming out from the Baba Yaga, unanswered on the back. But Frag Fiesta is gonna go ahead and dive to your T Clark out of that mid lane. So look out, there's a 1-for-1 so far. Both ADCs are down. There's the Ragnarok. Big damage coming out, and Bigfoot's gonna get out alive. And Nori picking up Frag Fiesta out of that mid lane, though. There goes all of the damage from the King's Dukes. Now the Reapers are gonna fight. They're pushing in, trying to get more, as There comes the stun from Aji to keep them off. And the King's Dukes are now back on the heel. The huge stun coming out from Bud is going to force the King's Dukes back, and the Reapers are here at this mid lane Phoenix. There comes Cruz on the defense. Gingy now looking low, and he's going to get out alive with that jump. So it's a 3v3. The vestigial tournament comes out again, but there comes the somersault cloud in return, and the Ring of Spears. It's just another version of that fight we just watched, as Gingy still looking low, needs to get out of there, and Nori trying to do everything he can. It's just tank versus tank at this moment. That is not a lot of damage being done.
So many tanky members. You just see Bigfoot, you know, twiddling his thumbs over there. I'm gonna take my red buff. Don't worry about it, guys. I'll be back. Just, you know, just give me a little bit of pressure. But man, you see that team fight going over and over and over again. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, Clay City is gonna respawn. Oh yeah, and Frag Fiesta is up again too. So guys, remember what we said about overstaying your welcome? And thankfully they are able to back away before that happens. But man, just you hate to see when you're looking at it and going, something doesn't feel right about this fight, and they're able to get out of it without a scratch.
So alt after alt after alt coming, and now they're all up yet again, as there's going to be another big grouping around this fire giant. Phoenix now once again down. I missed the fact that the Phoenix went down again on the left side for the Reapers. So that's going to be a point of advantage here for the King's Dukes, looking to push up on this enhanced fire giant. It's looking kind of low, as there's a lot of damage being done. There's the Ring of Spears coming out from Gingy, looking to block them off of it, and it will be successful. Fire giant now regaining its health back up to about 2/3, as here come the Reapers looking to push off the King's Dukes. They are now here as a 5-man grouping. Raven Strider off to the left alone. The other 4 are there on the back for the side of the King's Dukes. Now they're grouped up as 5, as Raven makes his way back over, and the big damage coming out onto Gingy now, looking a little toward the lower side, but there comes the bird bomb and the dive. But look out, here comes Raven Strider on the back line, trying to do as much damage as he can to the back, but he can't find it. Home sweet home coming out from Bigfoot, looking to do as much damage as he can, while a little too far away. Gingy and Bud looking kind of low, but here comes the damage dealers on the side of the Reapers, really trying to push in. Frag Fiesta went down as the dove came in from the tanks of the Reapers. So the big damage gone for the side of the King's Dukes. They're going to need to look to defend as much as possible without it. And Nori backing off. Not sure if the King's Dukes saw that or not, but if they did, they know they have a little bit more of an advantage here. But they're about to find out once Nori hits this left fire wave. The dance is going to be slightly delayed now, as more members of both teams are going to back off. Pyromancer just now spawning. Both teams looking around, trying to find where they can get their advantage here. The big damage coming in from Bigfoot on the backside. And oh, look at those autos from the side of T. Clark. He's going to use the Astral Barrage to find nothing in return. Oh.
Remember what we were saying about, you know, overstaying team fights, taking a little bit too long in things, the tanks just kind of going in. We're at 50 minutes now in this game.
But look out, Gingy now looking low. Big damage coming in with Clay City there on the back for the King's Dukes. There comes the River's Rebuke from Aji, trying to lock down a few members of the Reapers. And there's Gingy being pulled by the Riptide. There's the Ring of Spears, but Gingy's gonna fall anyway. Frag Fiesta picking up that kill. The big dive in. There's Crudes and Clay City trying to do their best onto T. Clark, but he's gonna stay alive. Bigfoot, though, left behind and falls down, and Nori is the only one left still in that fight, trying to get out, trying to call for some backup. He's just gonna go back to his speed buff and heal up. Here comes the King's Dukes looking to pick up this enhanced fire giant. The Reapers are going to have to be able to say something about it. T. Clark almost with the ultimate up. Not sure what the cooldown is going to be on it, but it's probably not going to be enough as this enhanced fire giant is going to be low. But here come the autos. Reapers are going to steal. T. Clark with the astral arrows is going to steal it from behind the wall. Unbelievable play from there, and Nori falls, but that does not matter if you are the side of the Reapers. Now you just need to get back and defend this push. They do not have that enhanced fire giant, so you need to play around this bird, do everything you can to keep them off of this bird, off of your Titan. You just need to wait 1 minute for Inori to respawn. Bigfoot's gonna be back in 20, Gingy up in 12, the bird is gonna fall. King's Dukes are gonna go ahead to look to end this game. River's Rebuke coming out, the huge damage coming down onto the Titan. There's the Stygian Torment, and here's big damage from T. Clark. It's gonna look to get Raven Strider low, but the Titan is going to fall. It's not going to matter. Multiple members of the King's Dukes looking low, but they do enough damage to finish it off. Game 1 goes to the King's Dukes.
51 minutes, 21 seconds, and what a game! What a game! Oh, that
Christ.
we've been talking for so long. I don't know if there's really much more to talk about in this one. 50 minutes, over 50 minutes. And the King's Dukes, by the way, have still not surrendered a game yet this season. They are the only team now to be able to say that, at least to this point. Last night's game, both the Phenoms and the Phantoms dropped at least one game during that set. I'm not going to give it away. No spoilers there, but it was such a good set between those two. And now we're here and we're seeing another really good set. Such a great team fighting capability between these two teams, the utilization of the ultimates, the just absolutely wonderful display of smite between these two teams.
You really have to give it to both sides. I mean, during picks and bans, we said it. We said it more so for the side of the Reapers than we did for the side of the King's Dukes. We said that T. Clark and Bigfoot out of that ADC and mid lane positions were going to have to do, most of the damage possible. And while I expected most of the damage to come from those two roles on that side, the King's Dukes surprised me even more. 59,000 damage from Frag Fiesta is an incredible number out of that mid lane. And I say that without acknowledging the 48,000 that Clay City did out of the ADC role. Which is incredible. It's absolutely bonkers. Just the impact that those two players had on the side of the Kings Deuce, just absolutely just bombing some team fights with damage. I mean, the ability to stay alive too. Can't say enough about the peel that OtG gave on that Yamoja. Just some fantastic riptides, especially early in that game to really confirm some kills as OtG needed to do. And that's not to take anything from the side of these Reapers. Every single one of them played a really solid game. Gingy absolutely dominated the early game out of that solo lane. And I mean, there were times where I thought that the team fighting was a little rough, but they really got some things together, used the ultimates in a way that they got their advantage and really pulled that game back and took the King's Knights or the King's Dukes rather to the very, very end of that game. I'm very excited to see what game 2 has in store for these two teams, because guess what? We only got more Smite coming up tonight.
Yeah, wow. Whew. Game 1, 51 minutes. Going into game number 2 here. I don't know if I got much else to say. I'm just
I tell you what, neither do I. I just
man.
want to get ready for a big game too. So we're gonna go ahead and kick it over to a break. When you come back, we're gonna have Reapers versus King's Dukes, game 2 coming up. And welcome back to the Quack and Smite League. We got a game
Ooh,
2 for you here. Reapers versus the King's Dukes. The King's Dukes. Wow. All right.
I don't
After
know about you, but I think we just ran a half marathon sitting in chairs.
Absolutely. That first game was absolutely intense. A 51-minute matchup that was so close the entire way. A huge back and forth game that ended in the favor of the Kings Dukes. And now here to start game 2, couple bans here. First one targeted out though. 2 target bans, the Osiris and the Odin, both gone. Banned out by the side of the Kings Dukes. Oh, 3
Make it
target
3.
bans.
Make it 3.
Make that 3 target bans, leaving open some high caliber gods here for these picks and bans. The Osiris, Odin, and Baba Yaga all going down in the ban phase. Gilgamesh being immediately locked here by the side of the King's Dukes. And on the other side, there's that soul that we were talking about last game. It could be used out of either the mid or ADC role. And speaking of ADCs, there's one on the other side, the Artemis, getting locked in with the Cerberus as well. So we're going to see a lot of similar gods that we saw last time, but on opposite teams. I mean, last time we saw the Emoja being picked up by OG, and now on the other side, Bud said, "Hey, let me play it." And OG said, "Well, then I'll take your god."
Yeah, Artemis still being hovered though. We'll see if they want to do someone or to have someone in lane that is that immobile. Artemis really has 2 forms of peel. She has to lay a trap at your feet, or she has to drop Tusky. No dash on that god whatsoever. The Rama at least had his dive, his roll away. But Artemis doesn't have that capability, so and instead, it looks like they're hovering the Fafnir, and the
Uh,
Fafnir is going to get locked in.
all right, so maybe that's not OG showing Bud how it's done on the Cerberus. Maybe that is going to be that Cerberus in the solo lane for Raven Strider, and I think that Fafnir is going to go on to OG out of that duo lane.
Yeah, we'll see how this is going to pan out in the end. Sort of similar to what happened in the first game, where you had the Osiris, the Odin, and the and the Cerberus picked 1, 2, 3 in favor of the Reapers. Now they said, "Fine, we'll do our jungler, we'll do our solo laner, and we'll do our support, and we'll see. We'll just show you, just so you know, it's viable, but we're gonna force you to do it too." As the Scylla gonna get picked up for the Reapers, and big whirlpool gonna go boom as big circles go burr on the other side, and now that Artemis that was hovered has now been banned.
And look at the bans on the side of the King's Dukes. 4 of the previously played gods for the Reapers are now banned, plus they picked up the Cerberus. So Reapers can't even run a single god back if they wanted to. Yeah,
I
absolutely incredible stuff coming off the side of the King's Dukes. This is
I
a
mean,
great pick and ban phase here.
I kind of, I mean, to a certain extent, I kind of understand it because it's basically saying, look, beat us with something else. You thought you dragged us to 51 minutes, 51 and a half minutes in the first game. We don't want another one of those. We're not going to let you go that tanky. We don't want that again. So beat us with something different. Find a different team comp, do something different. Um, and we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. Are the Reapers flexible enough that they can play a more of a damage type style and maybe have even a faster game than we had in game number 1? But 5 bans on either side, 3 picks on either side, and let's see what the Reapers want to pick up for their 4th, and Guan Yu is going to get hovered here. Kind of is that telltale sign of, hey guys, build anti-heal. So we'll see if that's what they are going to do here, as Guan Yu being hovered, as it is going to get picked up. So looking maybe, Wukong was still around, King Arthur's still at least a little viable. But it looks like, ooh, ooh, talk about a flexible carry, as Heimdall going to get hovered right now, and Raijin going to be the other one for Crudes. They will get locked in. So Crudes back on his Raijin. Or sorry, my bad. Frag Fiesta going to be back on his Raijin for game number 2. Again, 60k damage almost on that god for game number 1. And they gave it back to him. So they said, hey, we don't care what you were able to do on the Raijin. Do it again. We dare you. Do it again.
I like the Heimdall pick into this Soul. Now, I mean, now that Scylla got picked up, we know that Soul is going to be on T. Clark in that duo lane. So, on the other side, you see Heimdall getting picked up. The lockdown that you can use with the ult might put Soul in a vulnerable position and can really catch her off guard. And also, no stuns and only a little bit of a knock-up with the ult from Soul is going to make it so that Heimdall can probably get through the crystals most of the time. I know you were in the background freaking out about that Kali pick too.
And Nori basically said, fine, you took my Osiris that I love to dive into you with. Now you're going to have a Kali, the diviest dive god there possibly could be. And now I'm going to be spinning blades at you and trying to kill you just because I can. And you're not going to be able to do anything because it's a Kali ult. So I love what he knows his playstyle. He knows what he's good at, and he's just doing it again over and over. Now, that being said, I have one concern on the side of the Reapers. Where's the physical damage? It's really just Kali. So what do you do if you are King's Dukes? Do you build primarily the magic damage? Because you know that Soul is going to be swinging from early in the game. You know that the Scylla is going to be a late game monster. I mean, she even says it in game, I'm a monster. But you know that a Nori is going to be trying to dive you early game, mid game, late game, don't matter. Yeah, who's gonna take this one? Just looking at the comps, who do you think's gonna take this one?
It's tough to say. I mean, King's Dukes, giving Frag Fiesta back his signature Raijin after game 1, but with that really strong Gilgamesh pick out of the jungle, they gave up the Soul, yeah, but now your 2 huge damage dealers are, as you were saying, both magical. As we see from these builds, we see Jinji go with that Fighter's Mask yet again, trying to do a lot of damage out of that solo lane, trying to repeat that early lead he got last game. And if the Reapers really want to succeed here, I think Jinji has to really step up this game, even more so than he did last.
Yeah, and he was trying to dive, dunk, dip, dodge, do whatever he possibly could to try and get his team into a position of advantage during those team fights, and it worked sometimes. It wasn't quite as consistent. So we'll see what he's able to do now that he is on the Guan Yu. Gonna be interesting as this one pans out. Here we go into game number 2 between the Reapers and the King's Dukes. I got Bonsai Joe, Jerbear, and Red Sniper here for game number 2. Let's get into it, guys.
This is good. This is good Quack and Smite League that we got here for you tonight. This is the big matchup right now because, man, after game 1, how could you not be here for this huge game 2? What an incredible
this
matchup
set started at 8:30.
Yeah, this started at 8:30. It's on 10:13. Granted, we had a remake of game 1, so while it was 51 minutes, it kind of felt like 65. But Anyways, here in game 2, already surpassed the amount of time it took for first blood to hit last game, so no super early first bloods in this one, but on this dual lane, lots of damage coming in. Bud looking about half health on that Yamoja, took a hit from the Sunder there off of Fafnir. Lots of damage coming in early. Sundering Spear, we see a lot of supports going that early now, especially now that it has 2 charges for that early game, can try to get some picks. Look out, Clay City taking a lot of damage from T. Clark on that soul. Lots of big magical damage that is hard to get out of if you are that Heimdall. He's trying to throw autos, but doesn't quite connect with that enemy support. Over on that side of the solo lane, Gingy on the Guan Yu and Ravenstrider on the Cerberus, both looking about half health, and Nori is there in the jungle, looking to try to get some pressure. Is going to find the Harpy out on that right side. Over on the left, we see Crudes over there on that Gilgamesh. Might be looking to turn this into pressure on the opposite side of the map, as Clay City is just going to stay on that wave, and it looks like Nori is immediately going to go for that backhand. So look out, we might see a clash here in this jungle. Crude's calling it out to his teammates, but he's just going to let Nori go ahead and back off. That pressure that Gingy has out of that solo lane is giving them a lot of advantage here, but 3-3 is currently the level difference in the jungle, so it's not going to bring as much as I think the Reapers wanted out of that one. Clay City getting pulled back by the Riptide of Bud. And there is the stun, but nothing is gonna come out of it. Clay City taking a little bit of punishment from this Yamoja early on in this game. Over on this right side, Gingy really putting it on. Ravenstrider looking kind of low. The Talon Assault coming in, but doesn't find the kill. But there's the big jump from Gilgamesh, and Cruz is not going to find that kill either. 2 members, one from each side, looking extremely low. Possible kills that just could not come out of it. Ravenstrider going back into lane a little low. The damage coming out over on this duo lane, and Clay City is going to pick up first blood. Bud going down. The Heimdall claiming first blood. Lots of action, not a lot of kills so far, as my cat knocks something over in the background. I apologize for that. But huge damage coming out. Huge dash coming out. G with the jump and the hammer, trying to lock down T. Clark on that soul, but is not going to be able to keep him there long enough for the kill. So lots of action so far, Red. I mean, early advantage seems to go on the side of King's Dukes, but just like last game, opposite side pressure. What do you think of this solo lane, too, between Gingy and Raven?
I'll fill in for Red since he is currently absent.
Oh, there comes out the send to Niflheim. Clay City, trying to go through his own crystals, but being stopped by the Riptide of Bud. T. Clark is going to look to do some damage. Look out, and Nori is there, and destruction is available. Looking to try to dive, but won't find anything out of that. Clay City got a little trolled by Bud with the Riptide. Yeah, Jeremy, what?
Yeah, with the Heimdall pick, like, Yamoja can do some funky little countering there, bit by bit, but when it comes to actually getting kill pressure over in solo, it's going to be rough for Red, because it's just, that's a Guardian. So
yeah,
you have to ensure that you can actually get it. And when it comes to, Guan Yu sit pretty well in lane, and Gilgamesh and Kali for the early game are going to kind of like cancel each other out for the most part, I think. It's only in the late game that it starts to matter a little bit more, with that Gilgamesh becoming a lot more powerful, depending on the status of the actual game. If Gilgamesh is ahead, he'll just carry it through. If Kali's ahead, Kali from ahead is kind of nuts, so you do got to watch out for that. But for the most part, I think Gilgamesh should probably win it. He's pretty much the tried and true jungler at the moment.
Just like we saw in game 1, a lot of the action coming out of the side lanes here, and the mid lane matchup pretty I don't want to call it boring, but pretty
Yeah, for whatever
stale-matey.
reason, yeah, like Sandman Sam is typically the solo laner, so he's filling in here at mid. So he's just doing what he needs to do, not necessarily to win, just to play the game. And I'm not quite sure how good Bigfoot is, but he, certainly this matchup is basically just canceling each other out. So it's all that matters is where jungle can find pressure, in the side lanes is what is determining the match.
And so far, that pressure is staying in the side of what looks to be the Reapers in terms of general map pressure, but in reality, it seems to be a little bit of the Dukes when it comes to the fights themselves. Man, Sammy to get knocked up a little bit by the Riptide there, looking to find some sort of advantage out of this mid lane. Is the Reapers having both? No, excuse me. Having both of those supports. One of each team rotating toward that mid lane, looking to grab an early Greater Scorpion, hitting the 7-minute mark, and they're going to go ahead and accidentally drop that a little early, but pick it up, grab those upgraded buffs for the next time, and they'll be looking for. They'll be looking to get the advantage off that. I apologize, but there comes the River's Rebuke. The Sikkim does not hit, so Frag Fiesta is going to get out of that alive and send a little wave from under tier 1 tower.
Yeah, as Red comes back, I wanted to talk about the builds though before I hand it back to you, Red. Just kind of look at what we're having here. We have a Vampiric Shroud and a Ring of Hecate coming out on the Soul. I don't know, when it comes to ADC Mage builds where that sits, but that's certainly an interesting combination, as this team actually has 2 Vampiric Shrouds. Scylla building Vampiric Shroud plus Bancroft, which is certainly a very fun 2 items to get first, for sure. And in both games, what I've observed, I don't know if it's been observed with both players. We see a Mannequin versus an Eye, both games so far. So
yeah,
it's really a tale of 2 kinds of philosophies in terms of the jungle.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you want to talk about builds. I can't stay away from talking about Ravenstrider's build on this Cerberus, starting off with the Tainted Steel, even though Cerberus has that built-in lifesteal. So, or not lifesteal, sorry, built-in anti-heal is the words that I meant to say. But opting to go with that Tainted Steel as well just kind of adds on to it. So really trying to stop that Guan Yu from healing as much as possible in that solo lane, and it will turn into very similar experience with Bloodblood on the Umoja.
yeah, and the other thing, there's actually 3 Vampiric Shrouds in this game. I'm sorry, there's also 1 on the Raijin. There's a lot of variance in builds in this game, with the exception of the supports, who are going pretty much kind of what you would expect. I have no idea what the spear is going to turn into on the Umoja.
But here comes the damage. The big jump in from Cruz is going to look to try to disturb the peace over in the solo lane. It's looking like it's going to be a 3v2 here. Being shot under tower is Genji. The Stygian Torment comes out. Cruz is going to pick up the kill with the wind. And the kick comes out, and Genji is going to get pulled away. Bigfoot coming in, trying to do damage with the crush. Doesn't confirm a kill, even though Raven and Cruz are both looking a little low. AG gonna stay in, try to do as much damage and really kind of push back that team as much as possible. Look out, Sandman Sam is gonna be here on the Raijin, looking to come in and do some damage. Genji is gonna fall. Raven's trying to pick up that kill. There's the River's Rebuke. Look out, no dash from that Raijin. He's gonna have to use his Taiko drums to get away, and that is going to be a 2-for-0 at the end of the day in the side of the King's Dukes. A very broken up fight. Ravenstrider and Cruz both leaving that one after being very low at one point in that fight, and now that is a 3-0 kill advantage in the side of the King's Dukes.
I'll hand it back to Red after this comment. Cruz nearly trolled that fight, almost, with that kick, just saving Genji for a brief moment of time. But yeah, welcome back, man. Have fun.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that one, that team fight over in solo lane, the gank counter gank. Oh man, you look at it and it's like, it was one little thing here, one little thing there that really could have tipped that fight in either direction. The Kings Dukes end up with the best of both worlds there. Despite the kick, we understand that, Gilgamesh can be, the Gilgamesh kick is exactly like the Ymir wall. It's either your best friend or your worst enemy, and it's no in between. There's no in between there. It's either the thing that will give you the beautiful setup into a perfect kill, or it's the thing that's going to take your perfect kill and kick him halfway down the lane and allow him to escape.
Oh,
But
also, one last comment before I'll shut up.
Very good.
Last night we saw in the mini games of Phantoms versus Phenoms, we saw this boy not get taken consistently past the 20-minute mark, and in both of these games, it's been taken sub 10. just wanted to point that out before I go.
yeah, that's true. So we did have, let's see, one game it was taken in the 22nd minute. Well, the Gold Phoenix fell between 7 and 12 minutes all the games. It was the Fire Giant Phoenix that lasted 17 minutes the first game, and
Scorpion,
then
not Phoenix.
or Scorpion, sorry, Fire Scorpion. Lasted 17 minutes the first game, 22 minutes the second game, and I think it finally went to like 13 in the third, something like that.
Well,
So-
we might see a Gold Fury here before we saw the Scorpions last night, guys. The big damage comes in, a fight around that pit. Stygian Torment comes out, but Gingy's going to find Frag Fiesta on the backside. No one was peeling for him. Clay City's going to pick up a kill on the Emoja, but then there goes G. Both supports falling down. Big Crush coming in, doing a lot of damage to Crudes. Wow, here comes the big damage from Clay City, trying to do as much as he can. Someone got sent to Niflheim. I'm not quite sure who it was. It was a Nori, but he's going to stay alive after Clay City fell in that fight as well. Ravenstrider looked quite low on that Cerberus too. So essentially a 3-for-1 that, forced the entire team to back. So that is going to allow the Reapers to pick up the first Gold Fury of this game. I mean, just as we saw there in the last game, really good team fighting here on the side of the Reapers can really catch the King's Dukes off guard. King's Dukes really good with that grouping, but you see Inori dive, you see Gingy dive. They're not able to keep Sandman Sam alive there. Then, he dies first, and then the damage is kind of, I don't want to say gone, but severely stunted going forward in that team fight.
Oh man, this has been a game very much like game number 1, where you're just looking for something to go wrong, like big. You want something to go wrong just so you know which direction the game is going, and you still don't know. you still don't know. As Crudes now goes down to Bigfoot as the Crush comes out from Scylla, and now that one means that we are still tied up 4-4 in the kills department, and the Reapers have a slight, about a 1,500 gold advantage, slightly under that now.
Coming mainly just from the Gold Fury is where that advantage comes from. King's Dukes managed to take the Pyromancy on the other side, stuck around for a greater Scorpion that ended up making them stay a little past their welcome, as you called Crudes going down to the Crush from Bigfoot. Huge damage coming in from that Scylla early in this game. 2-0-2 is where Bigfoot sits. Took a while for Bigfoot to pick up 2 kills last game, but here, of the first 4 of the Reapers, 2 of them coming from their mid laner. It's going to be really essential to see this Scylla do some big damage, especially with the impact that Sandman Sam had on this last game. You kind of want to see a big match out of the side of your own mid laner if you are the Reapers here. And so far in this game, Bigfoot's been up to the task.
Yeah, I mean, Sandman Sam just absolutely fragged out that first game. He just put the team on his back when it came to both damage and to kills. It was great setup though by the rest of his team. The team fights were excellent. But you saw him consistently dealing the damage and free casting whenever he had the opportunity to. Now you have to have Bigfoot, who did pretty well first game. Um, but now he's looking his opponent across the lane there, going, I have to step up. I have to be just as good to give my team a fighting chance into this game. And you know what? Clark has definitely done that, at least in game number 1. We'll see if now Bigfoot can take his team on his shoulders and say, you know what, guys, I may not be able to shoulder all the load, but I'll be able to get what I can, and we're going to push through to this finish line. So we'll see what happens here as the game progresses, but definitely looking for Bigfoot to kind of step up to help his team out here on that Scylla. Again, big circles go Bert.
Hey, I mean, when your damage covers an entire intersection in that jungle, and you blow that up, and there's 3 people standing inside of it, that means that Scylla is a good pick. But over on that right side, Gingy picking up a kill underneath that tier 2 tower, but Ravenstrider is going to get a post-mortem kill on Nori. That tier 2 damage is going to do, that tier 2 tower is going to do enough damage to finish off that kill. So a 1-for-1 fight over on that right side as the Reapers look to really push in onto Ravenstrider. And now out of this mid lane matchup, big damage is going to come out. Bud looking low. Wow, the Taiko drums almost claiming that kill onto Yamoja, but that is an ult. It's not going to claim a kill there. So Frag Fiesta now without that going forward, but Bud was forced to back off. An incredible amount of damage coming off the jump hammer from G was really on point there. So, almost a kill there. There's not really much you could do there if you're the King's Dukes, but you got a lot for it.
Yeah. And it's that little stuff. It's exactly what I was talking about earlier, where you see Frag Fiesta doing so much damage in the last game, double-digit kills, but you gotta give credit where credit is due. And that's to G. Last game, it was to Crudes and to Ravenstrider. They know who their damage dealers are, and they're trying to set it up for their teammates. They know that Frag Fiesta is going to try and frag out whenever he can. So you try and give him as many opportunities as possible to do what he is very capable of doing.
Battle over the Gold Fury here as River's Rebuke comes out. Moja is going to place down her ultimate, and now here comes the cavalry charge. Gingy on the back. Cruz looking low, getting absolutely dove by the Reaper's solo laner, so the jump out is going to save his life. He's going to go ahead and have to back out of there. Huge push coming in from the side of the Reapers. King's Dukes are going to have to do everything they can to defend and try to find an advantage here. There's the destruction off of Nori, doing huge amounts of damage. Frag Fiesta is going to fall as well as Bigfoot. I'm a monster, absolutely claiming kills here for the Reapers mid laner. Bud does fall, but there goes G as well. Ravenstrider, the only one left on the side of this King's Dukes squad, finding a lot of damage onto Gingy, but look out, there comes the crush, and Bigfoot's gonna return the favor. Reapers coming out of that fight 4-1, and while a lot of them looked low, the only one that passed was Yamoja. So if you're Reapers, you gotta feel really good about that fight.
Especially with Nori right there. You saw him coming on the Kali, and you knew it was trouble. Then he gets the 2, and you better make it double. He picks up the 2 kills in the back there, getting Frag Fiesta, getting Crudes, and just pushing the advantage and pushing the Reapers to try and close in on the good advantage towards the objective. Again, they do end up getting the Gold Fury, and moving things along, Oni Fury, and moving things along into their favor. Now a good solid 5k gold lead. We'll see if this can continue, as Reapers, again, we saw last game, looked like they had a good advantage, looked like they were going to be able to push things out a little bit further, and just were unable to do so, and the Dukes clawed their way back to a victory. So we'll see if this game is going to play the same storyline or if the Reapers are going to be able to keep that pedal to the metal and push it past the finish line.
The advantage about 5K for the Reapers early in this game. Last game they had a bit of an advantage early, but it was only about 3K. So, you know, really, really pushing it a little bit farther than where they were last time as they're looking to try to catch Ravenstrider off guard over on this right side. Looking kind of low is that Cerberus, and Honori's going to go ahead and pick up that kill. The lone solo laner in that right side gets a little collapsed on by a couple members of the Reapers, and now they're going to go ahead and go on this Pyromancer. All members of the Reapers are there, but the King's Dukes are looking a little short-handed, both with Ravenstrider dead and Place City over in that left lane on that split push. Looks like the Reapers are going to have to take some kind of advantage here. They're going to turn it into what might be a Fire Giant call. Nori doing a little bit of boxing out here as the Reapers start up this Fire Giant. Here comes some damage. Frag Fiesta trying to claim what he can, but is going to have to use the dash to get on out. But look out, here comes the collapse. There's AG looking to get in front of that Fire Giant, turns into the big old dragon with the ult, and does not claim the steal. Bigfoot able to take that. Cruz is going to pick up the kill on Nori, and Nori doing an incredible job of boxing out the entire team of the King's Dukes. The only one that was able to get into that Fire Giant pit successfully was AG, but it wasn't enough to claim that steal. The Reapers are going to go ahead and confirm that objective, confirm this right tier 2 tower, and look to sweep for more objectives. Another winning team fight for the Reapers is going to push this game further in their way.
But again, we saw this last game, and they cleaned out the tier 2s. They were able to get the advantage. They were looking for everything possible when they had that the Fire Giant buff wrapped around them, and they were able to do so. They weren't quite able to get that that Phoenix that they really needed. But again, King's Dukes were able to get the team fights going, were able to push things in their advantage. And yes, it was a 51-minute slog, but the Dukes did come out on top. Well, let's see, as this is looking strangely familiar. A Fire Giant buff and a Nori doesn't have it. It's... Let's see what advantage can be pushed
Name a better
here.
duo.
Name a better duo.
Reapers are going to claim that last tier 1 tower and back off before completing that tier 2 over on the left side. Gold Fury is going to be spawning relatively soon. About a minute left on that, so the Reapers are going to look to gather up and dance over on the left side jungle. They all each had quite a bit of gold going into that back, so they're going to go ahead and load up on some items and get ready to try to win another team fight and take this one to the end. About 8K is the current gold lead on the side of the Reapers. I mean, if we take a look at the grass there, I mean, it's been kind of nothing but up and up for the Reapers. You know, last game we saw a bit of a dip kind of early, and it got back to even early on in that game. But this one, the Reapers have been taking this advantage and really pushing with it. You know, it's interesting to see that contrast between game 1 and game 2. You know, they found the advantage, especially at a solo and mid, and are trying to push with it. Frag Fiesta just not able to find that same advantage he did in last game off of that big pressure from the big ults. And I mean, you know, when you look back at what he did last game versus this game, I mean, you got to attribute it almost entirely to the Kali diving on that backline, finding as much of an advantage as you can to really try to shut down that Raijin and take down that damage early. Not even with just the Kali, but Jinji on the Guan Yu using that cavalry charge and Taolao assault to get on to the back has just really been such a menacing presence on the side of the Reapers.
Yeah, and again, you said it earlier that, you know, you saw the clear and distinct advantage in the grass to the Reapers, and then all of a sudden it kind of swung back towards the middle, and it kind of was anybody's fight at that point. This one, however, there's no swing back just yet. It's squarely in favor of the Reapers. Again, looking at almost a 10k gold differential. It's about 95, 9600 right now.
There's
And a
the
good
big
team
dive.
fight. Here we go.
Huge damage coming out. Tycho Drums trying to do as much as possible. Crude's taking down Nori. Went back to base, and D Clark is going to pick up a kill. I'm a Monster doing big damage onto Odd G there, so 1 for 1 the current trade, and Nori is down, though don't have to worry too much about a backline dive, so Clay and Frag Fiesta trying to really take advantage of this one here, but the Reapers are actually just going to go ahead and take that bird and back off, looking like it's going to be a Gold Fury call, and I think that's the right move here without a Nori on your squad.
Yeah, you can't take the 5v5 fight if you don't have the 5th person, and especially the one that's going to cause chaos in the back line of the enemy team. So good on them. They realize, yep, we've done our damage. We've got the Phoenix. We've got 2 Phoenixes now. So let's bring it back. Let's get the Fury, and let's try and reset up because Fire Giant's coming back up, and Pyromancer is already on the board.
Yeah, it's looking like the right side of this map is going to be the focal point going forward here. You know, these fire minions, though, are going to be pouring in. Reapers are going to want to take this advantage where it is coming here. Now, King's Dukes are going to have to play this really carefully to keep those minions out of their Titan room and still try their best to claim this fire giant. Here's a good question for you, though. Do you think if you're the Reapers, do you just take it now, or do you take the gamble? Do you wait 2.5 minutes, try for this EFG possibly, and while these Phoenixes are down, really force the King's Dukes to play back?
The real issue there is whether or not you can at least reliably get the farm. Because if you allow the King's Dukes to be able to get that farm, burn out what little advantages you have, get the respawn timers up on their Phoenix, it's much safer to just grab the Fire Giant, get that advantage, and maybe even turn a team fight or two, get that 3rd Phoenix down, and utilize every advantage you possibly can to ending the game. Because again, yeah, the EFG is a great buff, especially when you're looking at it real close to 30 minutes. But at this point, grab the advantage that you can, not what you can maybe get.
And just as you said, they grab that advantage. Now Nori is looking to dive onto the back line here. Crudes is calling him out there, and here it comes. They're diving in on this bird. There's the River's Rebuke coming out, but look at that return damage. Tons of low health bars on the side of the Reapers. Bigfoot is going to have to get out. There comes the Supernova from T. Clark, though. And oh, huge damage coming out. Nori claims a kill so low as Gingy, Nori, Bigfoot, and Bud. And the Reapers are going to be forced to at least back off slightly. Crudes and Frag Fiesta go down, so not a ton of huge damage left on the side of King's Dukes. But here comes that healing. Incredible amounts of healing coming from that Yamoja. Absolutely just keeping them alive, mixed in with the sustain from the Fire Giant. The Titan is going to fall, and the Reapers are going to claim the first game of the season that the King's Dukes are going to drop. It's a 1-1 set going in to game 3.
So, as you just said it, nobody now has a perfect record in the QSL. Everybody has dropped at least 1 game now. That's Phenoms, that's Phantoms, and that is now the King's Dukes. Holy cow. What a beautiful game 2 here. That one, again, you saw Reapers go up, go down, and game 1 was kind of this slogfest. Now game 2, 30 minutes. Thank you for cutting that time in half. I'm so glad. Again, still getting a little late though, because we have had an absolute slog, but dude, kudos all around. You're not looking at double-digit kills, you're not looking at all this stuff that's going on. I will say this, there is one telling thing more than anything else. Actually, I should say 2. The first thing is Bigfoot and T. Clark didn't die that game. They didn't die at all that game. 4-0-8, 4-0-7. Bigfoot and T. Clark staying alive, free casting. But you know who wasn't able to free cast? And this is the second thing. Frag Fiesta. Even on the Raijin that he did so much damage on last game, he still went 0-4-3. He wasn't able to get comfortable enough to actually deal the damage that he did in game number 1. And I'm gonna say that that's got to give credit to Inori for just diving over and over again. He knew what his target had to be if his team was going to have a chance, and
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened.
absolutely. I mean, it really goes without saying. If you go into this game 3 and you are the Kings Dukes, you have to do everything possible to keep Inori and Jinji off of that back line. Frag Fiesta needs to be able to free cast to get this game done. I mean, you go from game 1 doing almost 60,000 damage, and then game 2, you're going to put up a fourth of that number. If you are Sandman Sam here, I mean, go for the Raijin. Yeah, sure. But if you don't have that same peel that you did, and I mean, if the enemy gods are going to be a lot harder divers like that Kali, like that Guan Yu, it's really hard to pull off that same result. Going into game 3, Kings Dukes have to absolutely find more peel, more of an ability to keep the enemy team off of that back line, because you protect your back line, you win the game if you're the Kings Dukes. And I think the Reapers know that, and that's where they played their advantages. They played so good on that dive comp. Their front line absolutely just punished any sort of overextension from the side of uh, the Kings Dukes, and it absolutely worked out for this game too.
Yep, absolutely. Um, I don't think there's much else to say except, man, I am looking forward to game number 3, the rubber match between the Reapers and the Kings Dukes. Oh, this one's gonna be a banger.
It's going to be a banger, and it's coming up next. We're going to go ahead and take it to a break. And when you come back, you're going to hear our beautiful voices over game 3 of Reapers versus the Kings Dukes. And welcome back. Quack and Smite League. It's game three. Reapers versus the Kings Dukes here tonight in this week four matchup. I'm your main man, Bonsai Joe, as well as Red Sniper 23 and J Bear on the camera. We got a good one for you here.
Ooh.
Game one, a 51-minute long showdown. Game two, another close one that went in the side of Reapers. And now game three, Kings Dukes looking to make the comeback and take it all here so far.
Yeah,
Now,
and bans pretty standard so far. Again, no Soul, no Tiamat, no Sobek, no Odin, and Morgan Le Fay going to be the ban. Um, and of course, hey, look, it's our friend Osiris. He's not going to be played either.
yeah, I mean, a really good ban out there as the Emoja gets picked up. And we'll see Bud go
Ooh.
back on that and an immediate lock in on the Artemis. So we're going to see that out of
Oh.
that duo lane as well
Tremble
as the
beneath
Terra.
the
So a lot
waves.
of CC, a lot of lockdown coming out of that duo lane matchup between Artemis and Terra. The Emoja seems to be a priority pick so far in these games between the two teams. Bud and Oddg both very well versed on the Emoja pick. Now it's
I
interesting to see the teams go back to that Soul ban after it played just so well in game two. Uh, do you think it was worth the pick there, or worth the ban rather?
I definitely think it was worth the ban. If you put T Clark back on that Soul, um he was able to free cast, but the amount of just pure unmitigated damage he was allowed to do when he was given the opportunity is definitely warrant of the ban. Now he's got to go up against an Artemis. You're going to definitely be looking at a bow build. So you're looking at the god with the strongest attack speed stim in the game. Um, so we got to look for something that's going to be able to compete with that, whether you go Bluestone Trans and try and go an ability build, or if you're going to
I'm a
go and try and go toe to
monster.
toe with an Artemis's Guan Yu and Scylla
Your deeds
now
shall be
going to be
written
picked
in
up.
legend.
That Scylla was just phenomenal for
Your
Bigfoot in
time
game
has
two.
come.
He's going to try and run it back, and now Frag Fiesta will pick for the third pick for the Dukes the Morrigan. So anything you can do, I can change into and try and do it better.
Yeah, we saw the Morgan get banned out in that second round of bans in game two. You know, this Reapers team knows that Frag Fiesta likes to do that high flying damage on it. As the Kali ban comes out, said no more no more diving from Inori. They want to keep him as far away from their backline as possible, taking him off both that Osiris and Kali. Say, play something else, please. So more bans coming out. The Fenrir being taken out by the side of the Reapers. Both junglers have yet to pick, and we still need to see a solo laner. It'll be interesting to see what Ravenstrider picks up here. Could possibly go back to that Sun Wukong or maybe even the Cerberus again, like we saw in game two. Uh, we saw what I thought was going to be an Anji support Cerberus ended up being for Ravenstrider last game. I mean, played really well on it, uh, but just was not enough. I mean, Bud played at game one. It's been kind of a priority pick, but we're not going to see it here as more junglers going down. Gilgamesh and Tsukiyomi both being banned out. Hun Bats, an ultimate machine, is going to be picked up on the side of the King's Dukes. So a lot of lockdown there. So continuing with that chain of CC, maybe we might see a combo using that Fear No Evil to burn out some beads, and then oh look, Tusky's there.
Yeah, there's no greater thing than having Hunbat split an entire team fight into individual people and then Tusky to stun them all just because, hey, why not? Um, and then, of course, I really like this Terra pickup by the Dukes. Terra, I think, is kind of an underrated god. We really see a lot of like Ymir come out, or you see, well, as we've seen,
Listen
the
to my
Sobek
words.
constantly banned. We see Cerberus getting picked up all the time, but that Terra has a lot of CC in her kit, has great buffs through her blessing, and just absolutely a phenomenal god in this meta. Now that being said, the one thing that could put the kibosh on that is going to be locked in, and that's the Jing Wei and Ao Kwang. So
Yes.
if
Oh,
you're
Quang.
really gonna if you're really gonna do it, hey, why don't you just put an invisible god there? Because why not?
Oh,
And I
Quang.
mean,
Finally. Finally.
Jingwei safe is that Jingwei pick. T Clark's going to be able to play a lot more in the back and going to be able to try to really kind of farm up as he needs. On the side of the Kings Dukes, I mean, we see a lot of aggression, a lot of CC between, I mean, especially with that Herc now, you know, Hunbat's Terra, Herc, Artemis, so much CC, and not even talking about the Morrigan's ability to really lock people down with that invisible or with that triple stun there. But I mean, you know, you talked about how like kind of underrated that Terra pick is. I really like the pick, but here's the thing: is that it's got to play aggressive. If you are kind of playing from behind, if you're getting dove on, I don't think it works as well, you know, as say most other you know purely peel protection uh, gods do. Just from what I've seen, it just plays a little bit more aggressive. Uh, it's definitely a fun one though, and if they play from the advantage early on in this game, it could absolutely snowball into some really bloody late game team fights.
Yeah, and this one is really going to come down to the team fights, I feel. I don't see anyone getting a particular advantage in lane that is going to be devastating to the other side. And I think that's going to play out the way it played out in game number 1 and game number 2. You're not going to see this huge advantage in one lane or another. You're going to see the team fight really try and or really going to be the difference maker between these two teams. And now I'm really interested in seeing what the Jingwei is going to do. She's got some inherent crit in her kit, and if you build her right, this could be devastating. I have seen Jingweis absolutely obliterate teams, and I'm not just talking about like, you know, 10, 12 autos killing someone. I'm talking like 2 autos and a tank is dead, 3 autos and poof, there goes your Ymir. If you build it right and you can get ahead, that Jingwei is absolutely devastating. So we'll see what happens against the Artemis. This could be very, very interesting. Um, I don't know. Who do you like, Bonsai? In just looking at team comps, everything getting set up here, who do you like?
I mean, you see a Nori going back on a god that can really get on that back line and punish a lack of peel, but Frag Fiesta's playing a god that is gonna be on the Reaper's back line, right? You know, you play sometimes Morgans get a chance to play super aggressively and um, super on that back line, really trying to take out some of them. I think that we're gonna see Frag Fiesta more on the Reaper's back line than we will see Inori on the King's Duke's back line, if anything. Although Clay City needs to stay alive, you know, it's kind of tough. I mean, I really like the Guan Yu pickup and the Ao Kwang pickup, as well as the Scylla. That trio there is absolutely killer. They're gonna basically use that to try to exactly repeat what they had in game two. It's essentially a very similar lineup, but on the side of the Kings Dukes, you have so much CC, so much protection, so much burn that you know, you see 4 beads on the sides of the Reapers, and those will be gone in the first few minutes. It's so hard to really stop a Hunbats who's going to be in your lane every, you know, minute and a half, 2 minutes if you're like the duo side, right? If you just get absolutely camped on by somebody, it's going to give these lanes some advantage, especially these side lanes. I mean, we've seen all of this focus been put on both solo and duo, and I have a feeling that this game is going to be absolutely no different.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll see if the picks can happen. It did take a little bit for Inori to get going in game number 2. I believe he started like 0-2-1 or 0-3-1. But then he really decided he really was able to get uh, on his game there later on, and was able to help out his carries getting those picks and making sure that Frag Fiesta could not free cast. But the only thing more annoying than being ganked by someone who is invisible is trying to gank someone who is invisible. And so we'll see what happens when Frag Fiesta is going to be able to drop the clone and go invisible against Inori's Ao Kwang.
Yeah, it'll absolutely be an interesting matchup. I do want to point out that Raven Strider is going on that fighter's mask now as well. So both solo laners going for that fighter's mask. It's going to be a little bit more of a high damage matchup over there. And I want to point out T. Clark had a little bit of a change up in his build before exiting base. He went for that charged bow, which I was going to compliment. Going that charged bow early allows you to get a lot better clear from Jingwei, who is not the greatest clear god in the game, especially out of that duo lane. So getting that charge bow early, I thought was a good way to really kind of get that pressure up early. But if you think about how cheap the charged bow is, plus your Jingwei ult, I honestly probably think it was the better move to go for just the tier 1 bow instead and grab that Death's Toll. And as soon as you hit 550 gold, go ahead and grab the bow and then make your way back on into that duo lane. Oh, just as I was talking about the Hunbat just sitting on duo lane. Oh, and Cruz is gonna pick up that kill. Clay City is gonna get that final blow onto Bud. So another early gank, and over on the other side, just as we saw in game 1, just as we saw in game 2, solo and duo going the exact same way. Jinji and Inori picking up that first kill onto Raven Strider in that solo lane, and over on that duo lane, Clay City is going to pick up the first kill for the side of the King's Dukes.
Yeah, and again, we have the glimpses of game number 1 already. Oh, I'm just thinking of that and going, okay, so it's about 10:03 Central right now. So we're looking at like midnight Eastern by the time this is done. Yeah.
Welcome to the
Let's
party.
We're in for a long one tonight. We got nothing but long games and good smite, because it looks like we're gonna have another repeat banger here.
Yeah,
Going
we're here
into
for a
game
good
3.
time and a long time.
Right.
Here,
And
Kraken, we don't
into
sleep,
this-
so.
Yeah, right. Well, speak for yourself. I would love to sleep tomorrow personally. So again, we see this pressure by the Artemis, which is something I really didn't expect. Artemis usually has a slower early game. And again, that attack speed stim is an absolute late game bully when she can get that sustained auto attack damage onto her opponents. But seeing her effective already, picking up the first kill for her team, we'll see what Clay City is going to be able to do here as this game progresses, as he is going to get stronger and stronger.
Oh, look out.
Here again.
And there's the Fear No Evil, and look out, Bud is going to fall. I apologize. I do have to step away from the cast for a second, so go ahead and take it away.
His cat's breaking things again.
I think he was getting a call, is what it sounded like.
But Raven Strider's going to drop, and Jinji will pick up his second kill, as Inori will help out on that. Sorry, Inori's going to get... Jinji will get the kill. Inori shows up a little late for the assist, but 1-0-1 to Jinji, 1-0-0 to Inori, and now he is going to have the benefit of taking some back camps here, as Courage shows up and says, I'm not messing with that right now. Nope, I will back. I will stay safe. I'm not going to sacrifice myself just yet. But here comes the Herc ult. He is going to try and secure, and it looks like he did. He did indeed secure his own blue buff over the wall. The beautiful rock coming through. Oh, man.
The
That was
large
an
nut.
excellent, yes, that was an
But-
excellent boulder.
I'm not even sure Hunbots really saw that. I don't think he even really recognized what was going on, because he might have challenged it. They do have that important ward there, the Reapers, to watch out on those back camps. Looks like they're going to try and put a ton of damage on this side of the map.
Yeah, chat's trying to think of all the awesome alt combinations here for the Morrigan, and you know, just taking a look as we have a little bit of time here. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you can double Hunbots ult, which is hilarious, by the way.
yes,
If you just want to have a lot of health, double Terra ults is a fun time. You know, if you want to match Tusky with Tusky, or actually, you get double Tusky.
you get double tuskied. Yeah.
So, that's fun. That's like 5 seconds of CC.
Oh god.
If you match that with other players, like, that CC chain can be nuts. I probably don't see the Morgan turning into Herc, really.
Yeah,
the executes with Scylla and Alquang. As Alquang goes in, tries to get Raven Strider, he's going to blink in, and he will get it without having to use that ultimate. And grabbing the kill onto Raven. But yeah, like when it comes to the people that I wouldn't turn into, it would be Yamoja, it would be... who else did I say? Probably Herc. And like, other than that, it's fun.
I mean, Yamoja wouldn't necessarily be bad if you're looking to help zone out around an objective, but why wouldn't you just go for objective secure with the Scylla? That's kind of the trade-off there. I mean, you can spam abilities, but that's about
like
it.
when it comes to turning into Yamoja, that's highly situational. Whereas a couple of those other ones, like Hunbots, very, very fun and interactive. Artemis, very fun and interactive. Scylla and Alquang. Even Jin Wei, as Hunbots comes in with the Fear No Evil, trying to pick up the kill, and the Yamoja ult does come to pass here, but Hunbots will be the first one. A huge I'm a Monster by Bigfoot will pick up the kill onto Raven Strider there. Hachi getting very low, but he's going to get outside of execute range and will try and run away here underneath his own tier 1 tower as this very overhead gank ends as he barely makes it out.
Oh man, and Inori is the only one with his ult left in that entire engagement. Well done to both sides there, but the Reapers, an absolutely beautiful engagement over the blue buff of all things. But it leads to a clear advantage. Now, again, it's about a 1k, just under a 1k gold advantage. And the question you have to ask here is, you start to see the little advantage. Are they going to be able to make it snowball like they did in Game 2? Or are the King's Dukes going to be able to bring this one back under control like Game 1? It's going to be tough to see early on, but...
yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like from the King's Dukes, for sure. They just got to pull it together. Like, look with Frag Fiesta on this god here, the Morgan, who's going to be able to just do that. Morgan plays like a jungler, and it looks like Frag Fiesta is going to have a much more fun time on it than he has in the more traditional mid laners. Exhibited right there and then. But the King's Dukes have always had better control over objectives, for sure, whenever they're not extremely behind. So I expect that to play into their favor. But definitely when it comes to controlling these big executes with Scylla and Alquang, you are going to have to play team fights very carefully and keep track of your health bars, because if you don't, it could be very disastrous very quickly. And it looks like Artemis is getting run down here. Clay City gonna maybe get hit by this ultimate, not quite enough. And T. Clark will get out of that situation, not dive in.
Yeah, at that point, going into the tier 2, not probably the smartest idea there, but Gold Fury is there. They're going to be able to collapse again. Raven Strider is on the back side, but Inori is watching. They do have a ward there just to make sure that there's no collapse. But here comes from the backside, and there is the Morgan. The ult comes through. The team fight engaged, and Frag Fiesta will pick up Inori. Big execute threat now gone. The Terra's Blessing going to be utilized. And now comes the pressure as Gingy will pick up on G. Play City will leap forward. Here comes the damage as Scylla gonna get very low. Bigfoot running for his life, as is Gingy. Gingy will turn around, sacrifice himself for the sake of the team. And that will mean it's ultimately a 2-for-1. G falls for the lives of Gingy and Inori. And the Gold Fury now on the docket for the King's Dukes. 4 men strong, not a soul in sight for the Reapers, and that turn is going to happen in the advantage of the King's Dukes. So
Yeah.
Reapers again with that 1k gold lead, now squarely in the red.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, if they can play really well around these objectives and play these fights carefully enough such that no one gets low enough for execute, they can pretty much run stuff, and that's kind of what you saw there. Not necessarily run it, but, I mean, there were a lot of low health bars coming out of that fight, so they could have gotten a lot more kills, but just being able to get the pressure for that Gold Fury is all they needed. They didn't need to, like, deicide them, which is the right play there, so...
We were talking earlier about the Morrigan here, Frag Fiesta having a little bit more fun rather than being on a traditional mid laner. As Reapers sneaks the Pyromancer on the other side, Gingy and Inori says, fine, get the Gold Fury, we'll take the Pyromancer and try and claw back that advantage from your hands. So now Reapers up only a couple hundred gold, and we'll see as things are brought back to square. But you said Frag Fiesta on this Morrigan gets to play this sort of unconventional style of mid laner. And I still remember when I was asking for help when I first joined QSL, and Brownside looks at me and says, well, you know, in actuality, if you want to get, you know, if you want to be a better carry player, or you want to be a better player in general, you really only have to master one god. I mean, you just got to be good at the Morrigan. And I kind of thought about it for a second, went, wait a second, if I gotta be good at the Morrigan... Oh, because you have to be good at every other god in order to be good at the Morrigan. So, essentially, it was get good, scrub. So...
Yeah, Brownside's a troll for that, but... Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like the correct move there by the Reapers. They knew that the Gold Fury was long gone, and they sort of take a look a little bit at the map and go, oh, well, I mean, it's kind of free, and it looks like they've since warded up here, the King's Dukes. But you do have to make sure you keep track of all the objectives at all times, and keep track of that team, because if you lose sight of them, they're probably on something that you don't want in their hands. And that's sort of been the name of the game. I noticed last game, they sort of just let Inori run around the jungle as Frag Fiesta does a ton of damage there with the Hunbots ult coming in too, trying to pick up a couple kills here as Bud will be the one to fall here. Inori will get out as well as Bigfoot, but ooh, Clay City grabbing the kill onto Clark. I barely saw it happen on the map there. Yeah, soloed. That's crazy. But what I wanted to say is that the King's Dukes kind of had trouble warding, which let Inori just run around. And if you let a jungler run around and you don't know where they are for long periods of time, you're eventually going to find out that they are probably in a place that is going to end up with a gank and kill. So
That's
you
a
want
tier
to...
1 in mid now.
Yeah. That as well. So you need to have these wards up at all times, and it looks like the King's Dukes are doing a better job of making sure that they have wards on these important jungler paths. And that's always a key. If you are a support or a jungler or a mid lane, whenever you're walking around near there, just, you know, plop it down. Spending 50 Gs, spending 100 Gs really makes a difference.
Yeah, and it looks like Gingy did plop a ward sentry over at Fire Giant, so now the Reapers have a little bit of vision over there, trying to control at least on the defensive side as well, over where the Scylla is, with another sentry there, but Morgan, oof, looking for something. They do have a ward near where Inori was, so it looks like they did sort of suss him out. there was another sentry placed over by where Inori's location was. But that being said, you know, so far, even is as even does, as we're 6-6, and I mean, even with the previous advantages by the Reapers, the Dukes are now 1k up in gold. And it's not through an objective, it's just purely through farming. The King's Dukes have shown that they are efficient farmers in this game. It's really the objectives that allowed the Reapers to gain and keep their advantages. The King's Dukes, however, when it comes to just normal farming, seem to be more efficient, and that could definitely play into this setup for the next objectives, namely the Primal Fury over here that's about to spawn. Wow, that's a lot of damage onto the Emoji.
That's a lot
Here
of
comes the
CC.
Hurt Rock. A lot of CC as well. And here comes the King's Dukes. They will disengage and turn on to the Primal Fury, as it is now down to half health. Both G and Clay City over there, it will fall to the favor of the King's Dukes. And now the chase is on. Ginji's over here. He's looking for some sort of an advantage. Crush will go out. Oracles will get picked up as a small consolation to the Reapers, but not enough, as Reapers now slightly down in gold and looking at trying to get back into this one. 16 minutes in, as Fire Giant starting to look tempting as the game begins to progress.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to become the target there, that right side of the map. But what you're saying is right. Like, now, even more so than ever, like, this split in Season 8, Smite has just become a farming simulator, so you're just kind of going through going through the motions a lot of the times. Just like, camp. Oh, other camps have spawned up. Camp.
Yeah.
And then lane. Just a ton of farm all the time. So you really got to know your paths and know the best way to do it, because there are ways to farm, and then there are ways to farm well.
Yeah, and it's really tough because now it's such an emphasis on it, even for duo laners, where before you used to be able to clear lane, somebody might be able to get the Chad Harpy, and then you kind of box, you try and get some advantage. Maybe you're willing to take that push and go for an opponent's purple buff, but now there's 2 Chad Harpies, you got a Draugr over on the side, you still have the Scorpions on the side of the lane. It really allows for a much more fluid form of farming all across the map. It also gives a little bit more incentive for the jungler to start splitting time between both duo and solo without stealing a lot of lane farm. So as looks like the Reapers will claim the tier 1 tower in left, but the Pyro will go over to the King's Dukes. So again, looking for the progression here, as Ginji's going to get caught out by Ravenstrider. The heal going to pop up, and he will get out with nary a scratch. But the totem will go over to the King's Dukes, as Ravenstrider on the
most
Hercules
important
will pick
objective.
that one up. Oh yeah, most important objective on the map.
Yeah, as it looks like T. Clark is kind of getting just run down here, and Yamilja will use that ultimate there to keep T. Clark actually alive there.
The
So-
peel. The peel.
The peel, of course. I mean, that's just, you gotta be a bro, man. You gotta, if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
the support, you are the bro player. You gotta peel for the homies.
I mean, personally, as a carry, everybody likes the juice, but my favorite part of the orange is the peel.
Oh boy, we're really getting to the weeds here. It's
It's getting late. It's definitely getting late. Oh. But yeah, 6-6 again, and the King's Dukes now, I mean, that's about a 1k gold difference, 1400-ish, just about. But yeah, this one is starting to get a little tighter. Again, 19 minutes, looking at maybe we'd had a 51-minute slog game 1. We had a 30-minute game 2. Now looking at the 19-minute mark, Fire Giant still up there. No team has enough of an advantage that they're trying to push for that. But Dance of the Wards has already begun for both sides over on the right-hand side of the jungle. As 19, that's right, you're seeing that right. Frag Fiesta is at level 19 already in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we're reaching minute 19, and so you will start to see that when it comes to carries and mids. And right now you can see that the XP is really going in favor of King's Dukes, which is to the emphasis of how much better they're actually farming. Because when it comes to the actual XP too, there's splitting it and then getting it for yourself, and putting it all into your carry and mid is exactly what you want to do, and that is what the King's Dukes have done. They're a bit weaker in other aspects, but those aspects don't matter too much. Ooh, is Raven's gonna get a crap ton of damage there. T-Clark's actually dealing 235 a pop on those crits there. That's kind of crazy, but is there's a huge team fight as Hunbutts uses the Fear No Evil there, and Inori will be the first one to fall there to Frag Fiesta, having a ball there. Gingy will fall in the back as the second Hunbutts ult comes in to kill the Scylla there. And Rampage on a... Frag Fiesta gets that Rampage. An absolutely unbelievable move, and like I said, that double Hunbutts I knew was going to come, and it was a fun time as they get the 3 kills there. They get the Fire Giant, as Jingwei is going to get in here trying to steal. Going to have to use beads to maybe attempt to get out now as the chase begins here. Going to get underneath the tower as Raven Strider tanks, and Frag Fiesta will get the kill credit, but the damage from the Herc being the main factor there for the end of that Jingwei's poor little life.
I love that Crudes is like, okay guys, tier 2, let's do this. And tier 1 is still up. So, but it's okay.
Oh, we've done it before.
We're back in. Oh yeah, everybody's done it before. So,
a little bit of troll there too, to add.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's been a long
They're
night.
definitely feeling themselves there tonight. Having a little bit of fun, even on their own teammates.
That just looked like they turned around and they thought they'll be either one. Like it's kind of whenever you try and pass somebody who's walking the other way, and then you go, huh. Like they both thought they were gonna do the exact same thing the other person was gonna do, and so yeah, it's a slight equivalent of that. But you know, it's late at night. Anything goes here.
Yep, pretty much.
As the Oni Fury will get picked up here by the King's Dukes. Absolutely no challenge there. And Oni Fury waves will be coming up shortly.
Yep. Oh man, this is going to be real tough for the Reapers to try and bring this one back. So I'm going to do it to you now. You heard me do it for the last couple. So if you are the Reapers, let's say you're the Reapers coach, you're allowed to be in their ear for this one. What are you telling them right now to try and push them back into this game?
Well, it is a very tough call. They're down by 10k gold, which is about when you start saying that the game might be kind of out of hand. But what they really need to do, in all honesty, is they're going to have to just burn ults and run away for a little bit, because that Hunbutts is kind of big. The Morgan can add to it. Just try and bait a couple things out and then play back into them. Or try and play into them and be aggressive and catch somebody off guard and get a pick. Because if you just let them come at you and you don't have any way to defend against them, you're gonna die at this point. So try and play a little bit more carefully. Get farm, of course, but this is really a turtle type call situation, and it's very difficult. As you can see, there's a Phoenix Siege in both ways. There's 2 people here, 3 people here, trying to figure it out as the Emoja will use that ultimate in order to get some of these people off of here, as Clay City will hit the half health mark there. Inori, though, will fall on the back there to Frag Fiesta. Inori being the main man who's been dying all this set, as the Hunbutts ult will force this fight to be split, and a second one as well if you didn't have enough, and that's a DSI, and that will be game. King's Dukes are gonna hit the end button here and finish out this set as a 2-1 victory in favor of the Dukes, and while they may have dropped the game, they still have yet to lose a set.
well done to the Dukes, and that was such a heartbreak from the Reapers. One mistake just kind of turned the whole thing. And to be honest, this was really the tale of two titans going at each other. In Nori and Frag Fiesta, Frag Fiesta got the better of Nori in game number 1. And then game number 2, you had Nori getting the better of Frag Fiesta. And then bringing it back to game number 3, well, anything you can do, I can do better, as both carries, Clay City and Frag Fiesta for the King's Dukes, go with no deaths. So 7-0-5 and 5-0-5. Well done to both teams, but man, you got to look at it on this one and go, okay, what do we do for game number 3? And the Dukes just executed. That was the biggest difference here. The Dukes just executed. I mean, good game to both teams. Dukes next week looking to continue this. And Reaper's going to look to try and bounce back. But man, this one tonight was such a good set. Such a good set.
Yeah, we talk about Frag Fiesta a lot, but there's a lot to like from other players too. I mean, Achi having 2/3 kill participation, Cruz having a little bit more, Clay having about the same as well. That was a lot of team play there, for sure. So when it comes down to it, yeah, the 15 kills in total, they were there, they were fighting, and simply put, they were able to win those team fights. They really didn't let that Scylla do what Scylla can do, which is run a lot of stuff. It kind of showed a little bit early on, but didn't really get there. And T. Clark was absolutely shut down. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Just unable to really play the game. But I will let the other man, the man on the chair 1 who has returned to us, talk about the game.
Yeah, I am back. I apologize. I had to take a bit of a phone call, but as I was on the call, I was watching the end of this game, and what an absolute like show from the Kings Dukes. What I mean, as you said it, everyone all around just played such a good team game, and it was kind of funny to see Frag Fiesta really pull off to Nori what was done to him last game. There was a point where I was watching him on muted where I saw Frag dive the back line to kill Nori while invisible. I was like, wow, I thought it was supposed to happen the other way around. So so just a well turned execute there. And I mean, between Crudes and Frag, and I mean, really anyone on the Kings Dukes other than Clay, because all 4 of those gods are really divey. As you said, we're able to shut Clark down. What he wasn't able to get as much damage as he wanted done out. And same with Bigfoot, who was back on that same shutdown Scylla that that we saw Bigfoot play in game 2. So, I mean, just the backline got dove more. Gingy didn't have as much of an impact, and Clay was able to stay alive, and all of that CC, all of that team fight, all of that beads burning that we were talking about early in that game really paid off quickly in this one, and it was just a great show from the Kings Dukes. But can't say enough about how well the Reapers played tonight. Both game 1 and game 2 looked like they almost had it in the bag. I mean, if they took that game 1 off of this game, or this set would have been over a while ago. It could have been a 2-0 Reapers tonight, but just some small mistakes in game 1, and then just not able to finish it off in game 3 gives this one to the Dukes tonight. So chins up for the Reapers. They played absolutely fantastic tonight, but the Dukes just took this one 2-1. So, do you guys have anything else before I hand it off here? Because then I can go through a little bit of an outro here.
No, I'm good.
All right. So, Red.
I kind of said my piece. GG to both teams, and man, I am looking forward to week number 5. Just to give a little sneak peek, week 5, you're gonna see the Kings Duke take on the Pittsburgh Phantoms. That ought to be a real good one. And then the Reapers will take on the Archon Dragons, the new look Archon Dragons. Man, I I don't think I've had a season at the QSL where I've seen so many good games go like throughout the season. We always had like 1 or 2 weeks that were like, these are the premier weeks. Now it's like every single week has just an awesome game to come up next with.
Absolutely. So yeah, stay tuned. A lot of great QSL matchups. You got more heading out later in this week as well. So stay tuned. We got a game, I think, every single night this week. So, we got nothing but Smite coming up in the Quack and Smite League. So stay tuned. You'll see it coming later this week. But as for tonight, this has been your set. A 2-1 win for the Kings Dukes over the Reapers. I have been Bonsai Joe along with Red Sniper 23 on my second chair and Rectal slash Jer Bear on the camera. So we hope you had a fantastic night. We hope you enjoyed the set, and we'll see you back here on twitch.tv tomorrow. Good night, everybody.